Spirit Fox 8. You? The pain nearly made Yun Ruoshi break out into tears. She wanted to lash out in retaliation, but that's when she realizes who it was. In that instant, her complexion had lost all color. How can it be him? Why is this old man here? You bitch, I'm going to kill you. You killed my good granddaughter. I'm going to kill you, bitch. The crazy old man has now turned into a vicious old man. His fist was relentless when smashing down at the lady's face, causing it to go bruise and sore in all sorts of places. As painful as it was for Yun Ruoshi to take this beating, fear overtook everything else in this case. She knows, since that event back then, this crazy old coot hated her more than anything else in this world, to the point where she never once dared to appear before him. To think they would bump heads in a place like this of all places. Meanwhile, on the side, Bai Xiachen had his eyes staring wide in dismay towards this interaction. He's completely taken aback and surprised by this twist of event. This old grandpapa. Does he have a vendetta against her? Gidge! Dragoni nudges at the boy's hand. What's wrong with him? Why is the grandpapa acting like this? Didn't you listen? Grandpapa's granddaughter died because of her. She killed her. That's a death grudge, ah. Drawing his lips into a sinister smirk, Bai Xiachen's sight now lands firmly onto Yun Ruoshi's body, who's curled into a fetal position for protection. Gidge, do you also hate this woman? Asked the little missy with curiosity in those eyes. With her understanding of Bai Xiachen, the boy wouldn't normally dwell on a matter like this unless it's out of spite. Since he did so, then it must mean he doesn't like or outright hate her. Strange though, this was clearly their first time meeting the lady since they arrived in the celestial realm, so why the heavy grudge? Yes, I don't like her. I didn't like her since the first second I laid eyes on her. Crumpling his cute little face into a frown. Especially when I see her fake face. My dislike inexplicably grew deeper until it's become a form of hatred. Dragoni nods in earnest. If that's the case, then I also hate her. Grandpapa. Bai Xiachen saw that the old coot has done enough damage and waves for him to come over. Let's go, we will go find your bye-bye. That stopped the crazy old coot from continuing. With a goofy grin. Okay. Let's go find bye-bye. However, that's not before the old senior sent another kick at the bruised-up lady. Apparently hatred knows no bound, even if one becomes senile and unable to discern what's reality or an illusion. Finally free from her assailant, Yun Ruoshi's first instinct was to clean herself up so she wouldn't look like such a mess. Sadly for her though, aside from wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth, she couldn't do any more for her hair because the old senior had ripped some of her scalp along the process. Just touching the upper part of her head would bring a stinging pain that made her gasp. What are you all looking at, Scram? The maid snaps out at the gathered crowd after realizing no one was helping and made them disperse. Of course, that's not before they all bellowed out into a laughing fit at this hilarious show. Miss, are you all right? The maid quickly crouches down to help her lady up. That old man is so abominable. Pa! Sending another slap at her maid without any indication, Yun Ruoshi spoke with grits and stone between her teeth. Where the hell were you? Why didn't you help me? The maid shuddered because she didn't dare to say she's too afraid to help. Miss, the old man and the blasted child is too much. Why don't we follow up with a... Flashing a killing light in her eyes, she makes a beheading gesture with that hand. Spirit Fox 9? Huffing a grunt at her maid's idea. Go ahead and kill that old man if you think you can, but that child must die. Yun Ruoshi doesn't understand why either, but she detests the boy as soon as she's met him as well. Coupled with the fact that he dares to challenge her, it only made sense things would turn out this way. You immediately go inquire about that boy. I want to know where they went. If my guesses are right, that little girl is a demon. Yes, milady. The maid wasted no time to retreat from the lady's presence. She's afraid further punishment would befall herself if she lingered. Minutes later. Miss, I've checked, they're likely heading to that city of demons. City of demons? Yun Ruoshi sneered. Recently the movements of the demon realm are getting bigger and bigger. Now they're also recruiting the local demons to their side, so I bet that little girl is also doing the same by heading there. Xiao Qing, maid. Go see if those monarchs have come yet. Monarch, a title that could only be given if one possesses the strength of a high divine or above in this world. In that case, the individual would be allowed to set up his own territory and become a ruler of a region, somewhat effectively becoming a king of a domain. If they come, flashing a cold hard light in the eyes, tell them to come find me at the inn. I want to discuss with them on how to deal with the demon realm together. But before that, I must lead that old fart away from the demon girl and boy, otherwise he might end up joining those demons and turn against us. At this moment, right outside the walls of a city, adorned with a plague inscribed with the word, Demon City, thousands of demons and demonic beasts were being processed for entry into the settlement. Their treatment wasn't of the best out there, mainly because Bai Yan didn't have trust in these individuals who has lived in the celestial realm all their lives. But these demons didn't have any other better options out there aside from seeking protection from Ditsong and his subordinates. Yen, you've been watching these demons for so long atop of this wall. What do you think of them? Ditsong asks while bringing a coat for his wife to wear, making a mild smile. At the moment I can't see anything out of place, but there is bound to be some down there sent to spy on us. After all, they've been isolated from the demon realm, so it's expected that some would become loyal to the enemies. It's better to be careful. She wants all of the demons to return to their roots, but that doesn't mean she would allow others to take advantage of this opening. Suddenly, Bai Yan's attention lands onto a woman hidden among the crowd, her eyes beaming with a touch of frost. There's something wrong with that woman. Drawing his lips into a smirk, Ditsong also turns to the crowd that's below. You also noticed? Let's go. In one leap, she descends from the wall and surprises the gathered demons with her entry. Spirit Fox 10. As beautiful as this woman's appearance was, the crowd greatly lamented the fact that she's pregnant and not a virgin. Otherwise, they would be conniving to woo this one. Yen, you be careful. We can't have you getting hurt. Landing with a frown, Ditsong hurries to examine his wife for any issue. When I was pregnant with Xiaqin, I was running around outside still and getting into all sorts of fights. Do you see me getting hurt? Shooting a glare at her husband for over-worrying. My babies aren't so frail. If she and her baby could endure the damage from a lightning strike, then a simple descent from some city wall was nothing. After lecturing her hubby, Bai Yan returns her attention to the woman in question. Though ordinary in appearance, she just has a strange, aching suspicion this individual wasn't normal. Say it, who sent you? Going slightly white in the face. I don't know what you're talking about. Won't tell the truth? Bai Yan continues to examine the person in a scrutinizing manner. You think I won't notice just because you're wearing a wolf skin? Why are you pretending to be a demon and trying to enter the city? Finding she's been discovered already, the spy didn't bother trying to keep up her facade anymore and bursts out laughing. In an instant, the aura explodes out of the woman and blows the nearby demons away in all directions due to the force created. Careful. Alarmed, Ditsong hurries to pull his wife into a protective hug to shield her from the explosion. She is a high divine. High divine? Bai Yan was surprised because this high divine was the most powerful enemy to date. Are you the king of the demon realm? The spy ignored the pregnant queen and turned to Ditsong instead with a look of desire. It's too obvious on what she wanted when that tongue stretched out to lick her own lips. Your strength is very good, grinning maliciously. With your strength, marrying such a woman is too much of a pity. How about this? Leave her and come to my side to become my husband. What say you? A flash of hardness flickered across Ditsong's eyes after hearing that pompous statement. In order to reassure his wife, he immediately leaves a soft kiss along Bai Yan's lip. Just wait here for me. I'll come back after I finish dealing with this spy. Be careful. If they're only one enemy, then she's very confident her own man could handle it. Loosening his arms around Bai Yan's body, Ditsong now focuses his entire attention to the opposite side. Boom! In this moment, gushes of air came blowing out of his clothes due to him releasing his full might, which causes the spy to narrow in her eyes as well. So the rumors are true. The Demon King is as strong as they say. It's good I came in person to get an impression first. Now I can take him as a male consort in my harem. Demon King, why go against the celestial realm when you're such a handsome beauty? There's no way you will prevail with only your level of strength and that useless wife of yours. That's right, in the eyes of this high divine, likely a monarch and ruler of one region, this spy thought of Bai Yen as nothing more than an ant, an insect that she could crush with one foot. However, the comment didn't infuriate the mentioned wife, it only made her break out into a chuckle. Celestial Realms Faction 1. Wait, Deetsong. There's something I want to ask her first. Slowly coming forward, Bai Yan's eyes were burning with fire. Although the Demon King didn't know what his wife wanted to do, but he's not going to stop her if that's her wish. However, he's going to remain ready in case anything happens. You're almost 50 or 60 years old now, right? She asks with a meaningful smirk. Maintaining one's youthful image wasn't hard for a cultivator, especially for those at the higher levels like the one before herself. That's right. Ticking her lip into a cheeky smirk, the spy had plenty of confidence her achievements are something to be proud of, because there aren't many like her even in 100 years. Then what right do you have to call me weak and useless if it took you 60 years to reach the high divine level? An air of defiance exudes out of Bai Yan's body as she confronts the spy who looks down at herself. I began to cultivate at the age of 15 and is now 7 years in to reach where I am today. As for yourself, it took you over 50 years to break up to the high divine. How can you be so proud with that sort of achievement? What's more, my subordinates are barely 30 years old and is already at the bottom divine. It will just be a matter of time before they overtake someone like you. Bai Yan could ignore others trying to insult herself because she doesn't care about the opinions of others, but it's a different story if it involves the demon realm, nor would she allow others to get the impression that the queen of the demon realm was a useless woman that only knows how to rely on the man. Likewise, the spy's remark had infuriated the gathered demons gathered around the city gate. Their eyes are filled with anger at the woman who insulted them all. The only woman worthy of being my wife is already standing next to me. Deetsong began to move after throwing this out there, and due to how fast his attacks were, a cloud of dust was stirred into the air as a result. You're also a high divine? The spy exclaims after being surprised by that incredible speed. Such a shame. A man this capable is being accompanied by such a useless woman over there. That's right, in the eyes of this woman who came to make trouble, any female with the strength beneath herself was a useless weakling that deserves to be trampled. Queen, what are you doing? First Elder was at first focused onto the battle that's taking place but quickly shifted to Bai Yan instead, who's setting up a pattern of stones on the ground at such an odd timing. Raising a smirk at the question, she gladly answered the Elder's inquiry. I want everyone to know that Deetsong's wife is not weak or useless. So what if she couldn't beat the enemy in a direct fight? It's not like brute force was the only way to win out there. The queen knows how to set up spell matrices. First Elder inwardly thought, ignoring the strange and shocked look coming her way from multiple individuals at this point. Bai Yan continues to arrange her stones on the floor and furthered the effort by scribbling some strange diagrams with a chalk pen. Moments later and she was done. Wiping the sweat from her forehead, she returns her gaze over to the battle that was still continuing with increased ferocity. Celestial Realms Faction 2. As a result of the constant exchanges between the two that's fighting up in the air now, the ground has become littered with miniature craters due to their back and forth. In short, the earth has become a hazardous scorched earth appearance and many demons fled as far as they could without actually leaving the city outskirts entirely. Even so, the upper hand soon fell into Deetsong's hands as beads of sweat became apparent across the female spy's forehead. Deetsong! Suddenly, a faint yet crisp cry reached out from the rear and made the Demon King swing around at that gorgeous face. Throw her inside this spell formation I made, and then inject your power into it. Without hesitation at his wife's order, Deetsong instantly blinked behind the female spy and stomped down at the woman's back, causing an audible thud with his foot and landing a bullseye in the process. Then to seal the deal, he reached out with his hand and blasted his wife's work with a sizable chunk of his power in the form of a purplish flame. Naturally, that final gesture wasn't an attack. Rather, it's an injection like Bai Yan wanted, thus causing the spell to wink to life. Ah! When the red light rose from within at its activation, the female spy immediately screamed out in pain like the area inside were burning with toxic fume. It's excruciating and tortuous even to those listening in, so it didn't take much for others to realize what's happening. Painful. The spy flew into a desperate rage in no time, constantly throwing herself entirely at the transparent veil that's acting as her cage. Unfortunately for this poor foolish woman, whatever attempt she's trying to do were for naught because the weight of her attacks and body slamming didn't even make a dent in the veiled circle. Rather, it's herself who's tittered with scrapes and bruises from all that fussing. "Let me out, you let me out now." Her eyes turned red, showing a look of madness as she continued. In awe at this amazing spectacle, First Elder had to ask again with increased variety in the tone of his voice. "Queen, this spell formation of yours, it's able to trap a high divine?" It's not like the demon elder was overreacting in this case. Even in the demon realm, a high divine was a rarity and could be considered a powerhouse among the Demon King's army. Word count, 1146, last edited by Cat00 on March 18, 2020 at 1:19 p.m. Toggle panel. Publish preview changes. Opens in a new tab, status. Published edit status visibility. Public edit visibility revisions. 2 browse revisions published on March 15, 2020 at 2024 edit date and time. Move to trash toggle panel. Patreon level require the below membership tier or higher to view this post. Makes entire post patron only. If you set a precise amount in advanced settings below, or had one set before, that will be used instead. Require the below precise monthly membership or over to view this post. Optional. Overrides the above select box when used. $1 require and shrugging her shoulder like it's nothing. Bai Yen spoke with a hint of melancholy, like what she achieved was nothing to gloat about. If by virtue of power, then of course I can't imprison a high divine. That's why I borrowed Di Tsong's strength. That said, she then stares down at the prisoner with a taunting look. What now? Didn't you call me weak and useless earlier? How come you are trapped by the one you are looking down upon? Stopping now over that remark, the female spy clenched her teeth and showed a defiant face. You're only relying on your man to subdue me. Who do you think you are to speak to me in that manner? Well, at least I have my man to rely upon, you don't. At least I have my man to rely upon, you don't. If it was the old Bai Yen who still hasn't married yet, then she would never say something like that. Unknowingly, she too has been changing since their union. While the Demon King became more humanistic and less of a hard ass, the Queen herself has learned to give trust to others when carrying a burden. The spy couldn't retort to that statement since Di Tsong and Bai Yen are a couple after all. Like, what else was she supposed to say in this instance when she's already caught? In the end, regret was the only emotion filling up this one because she didn't need to come alone today. She could have waited and attacked with the other monarchs who were still arriving from their territories. I haven't used this spell formation in many years already. Generally, it's reserved for traders that has some secret I needed to know. Are you honored that it's being used on you? The spy didn't respond, only clenching her teeth in silent defiance. I call this the tortuous truth bind. It inflicts and intensifies the pain receptors of those inside it. Whenever you answer me dishonestly, then it will detect that in your brain, which would create a reaction. Just so you know, the pain you felt when the spell activated is nothing to what you are going to experience once I begin my interrogation. Despite her smile being so gorgeously mesmerizing, Bai Yan's face only looked menacing and dark in the eyes of her captive. It's the same as the Demon King's, only in the female form. Your name. The spy didn't take the warning to heart, of course. With a snort, she swung her head to the side without answering. Now that's when it happened. Glowing underneath the ground, the scribbles of weird symbols Bai Yen wrote on the floor with the chalk pen began to glow red again, and bolts of lightning just zapped upwards from out of the blue. Unlike the usual electrifying experience of being hit by thunder, these bolts of electric beams didn't get absorbed by the flesh. Instead, they acted like whips of thorns that whacked her fleshly body in every angle. This includes the face, the chest, and, well, a torturing device doesn't discern between a female's private parts, so those bits were also up for the taking. Ah! By the time the first wave was over, the spy could see her clothes had mostly been ripped and left her bare for the world to see due to all the damage. However, that's not the worst of it. Wherever those whips of electrifying madness landed, It would leave behind a line of blackness on her skin to show it's been severely burned from the contact. There's still white smoke smoldering out of her ruined skin. Celestial Realms Faction 3. Her eyes were finally overtaken by the despair she felt from within. Those eyes of the demons coming her way, and the pitiful condition she herself was in right now. There's no hope to be found. I'll ask again, tell me your name. Oh yes. I forgot to tell you the spell formation will increase in its intensity whenever you refuse to answer me honestly. This time it's a lightning whip, next time it might be some sort of fire or water attack. The spy's body trembled harder after hearing that. It's Mu Mei. Second question, what are you here for? Mu Mei tightly clenched her fists in frustration but answered anyways. I have been informed that the demon realm is attacking us, so all of us monarchs are to gather in this region to combat the threat. Monarchs. High divines are titled monarchs within the celestial realm because we are charged with the rule of a regional territory. Bai Yan nods in approval at the explanation. Then who is it that informed you of our coming? How many of you are there in this world? Please, the one who informed me is Yun Ruoxi of the Celestial Palace. She's the one you want. As for how many of us there are, it's somewhere between 40 to 50 the last I checked. That surprised Bai Yan. 40 to 50 monarchs? Then that means there might be even more high divine enemies hidden in the shadows. This battle won't be easy. One last question. Do you know about a woman by the name of Bai Ning? Bai Ning. The name not only roused a reaction from Mu Mei, it downright made her frightened in that moment. There's open fear in the spy's eye after hearing those two words. Catching this unmistakable look of recognition, Bai Yan's expression turned serious and hard when pressing for more. You know Bai Ning? The one you're speaking of. Is she the one who escaped unscathed after openly assaulting the Celestial Palace? That Bai Ning? Yes. I'm talking about her. Do you know where she is? Bai Yan's heart tensed up and causes her to reach in with her hands without thinking. She's gripping Mu Mei's collar and almost choked the poor woman with her behavior. Yen. Afraid his wife's mood would become too unstable, Di Tsong hurried over to wrap his arms around her waist to show his support. He hopes the act would help calm her mood down to a manageable level. I don't know. Mu Mei stutters this out with great difficulty. She really doesn't know where Bai Ning was. In fact, the entire celestial realm wouldn't know either on where that woman was hiding. Otherwise, the Celestial Palace would have long sent its people to capture the criminal years ago. She's like a ghost, come without indication and then leave without a trail. Loosening her grip around the woman's collar, Bai Yan had to force herself to take a step back in order to inhale deeply. Only then did her emotions calm down a bit. Di Tsong, don't worry, I'm fine. She just wanted to see her so much. I'll help you find her. Don't worry. Pained by his wife's appearance, Di Tsong gives her a rub on the shoulder as reassurance. Bai Yan knew she couldn't change the fact and nodded. Turning back to the spy. Mu Mei, since you're here already, then you can forget about leaving. No one can undo this spell formation that I set. Shuddering, the spy frantically pounded at the veil. I've already answered your question. What else do you want? Snickering. Just the fact that you peeped at my husband is enough for me to not let you live. This formation will last for 49 days. Afterwards you too will disperse into nothingness along with it. Celestial Realms Faction 4. Don't you go. Please let me out, I beg of you. Acting as if she didn't hear the plead, Bai Yan disappears off into the city with her husband, leaving only a crying Mu Mei in the background that kept pounding away at the Veil prison. After days of renovation, the former city lord's estate has now taken on a new look of replenishment when Di Tsong and his wife arrived at the site. Di Tsong, crossing her arms with a displeased look on the face, Bai Yan clearly didn't feel happy when she took a seat on the bedside. It looks like we need to rethink our plans in our attack of the celestial realm. There's too many powerful individuals out there that we aren't aware of still. If only my strength is higher, then I won't have to be so passive. Getting a seat beside his wife since he knew he had to say something less, she starts getting dangerous ideas again. Yen, you only need to take care of the baby in your tummy. I will handle this until you are ready to fight by my side again. Showing a bittersweet smile, Bai Yen also looks down and rubs her already showing stomach. Perhaps this child didn't come at the right timing. If it is a few years later, then I could do something now instead of waiting. Don't dwell on the what-ifs, Yen. What needs to come will come, not to mention, cusping his hands around hers. I will protect both you and our daughter. She didn't respond, only staring downwards at their hands for a long time before looking up at her own man. Ditsong, Mu Mei mentioned before that the one who summoned them is a woman by the name of Yun Ruoshi. I don't know why, but I keep getting a sensation that I know that name somewhere. It's familiar to me. Unfortunately, the answer to the dilemma was like a bait dangling in front of a rod. So close yet so far. If you're tired, then rest early. I'll go discuss this with the other elders. Gently picking up his wife with both arms to tuck her inside bed, Ditsong made sure to cover her body tightly with the cover before landing a peck on her forehead. Though still worried about their future, Bai Yen didn't resist the offer to rest. She's indeed really tired as of late, so her closes unconsciously began to close itself as the man left the room. Back over in the small town, Yun Ruoshi was currently standing with her back turned to the door of her room and facing the window when several figures suddenly appeared behind herself. "You're all here?" she asks with a pleased smile as she swung around. "Miss Ro-shi, did you summon us here in order to deal with those from the demon realm?" asked a middle-aged man who took a step forward. Giving a nod as her answer, those eyes were full of sadness when she spoke. "As we all know, the temperaments of the demons are cruel and ruthless by nature, such as their kind from eons past. Though we've managed to subdue them 1,000 years ago during that great war, but it's clear to us in the Celestial Palace that they're trying to make a return today. Please, I need the help of the monarchs. You all are the pillars supporting the Celestial Realm and the strongest fighting force we have. I know my powers are limited, but implore you all, please heed my command as vested in me by the keepers." "Ha ha ha!" The middle-aged man bellows out a laugh. "No need to be so polite, Miss Ruoshi. Slaying demons are our duty. Even without your request, we will still do our part." Celestial Realms Faction 5. "Thank you." Yun Ruoshi graces them with a genuine smile. "You are all true patriots of the Celestial Realm. When I ascend onto the supreme throne, I will certainly not forget you all. Now that's what they're all waiting for." Immediately, a round of pleased smiles were shown across these monarchs' faces. "Wonderful. I hope Miss Ruoshi wouldn't forget today's promise. We will return after we finish off those from the demon realm." The middle-aged man cusps his hand as a show of respect before rushing off towards the darkness. Quickly, the rest of the group were also gone from view, each heading off in the general direction of where the demon city was in their own separate fashion. They're all lords and masters of their own territory. Even if they're working together to take down a common enemy, they aren't going to rely on one another to watch their own backs. Pleased with herself, Yun Ruoshi was also ready to take her own leave now since there's nothing more for herself to do. However, right as she's about to take a step back to leave this room, her eyes suddenly caught wind of a familiar figure up in the air. The man had a proud and divine air to him, beautiful yet lonely, like the world couldn't taint his very existence. "You?" The initial shock soon changed to joy as emotions ran wild in Ho's eyes. "You're back! He's finally back!" Excitement filled the woman's heart as a flush of red covered those cheeks like some young maiden who's never tried love in her life. She's shy and timid, the perfect picture of that when facing the man she loves. "You go back to the Celestial Palace." Sadly, the first words coming out of Chu-E God's mouth shattered the illusion instantly, leaving her heart frozen and broken. "Why?" she stutters this out with dryness in the throat. "Why should I go back? The demon realm is already attacking us in the celestial realm. Why should I go back?" This time the voice sounded commanding and not a request. Whatever fire she felt died in that second. Clenching her fist in frustration, Yun Ruoshi closes her eyes in acceptance as the gradual memories of their first encounter resurfaces again. It was a fine day like any other in the past. At the time, he was spoiling another girl by carefully removing the peach blossoms from her hair, and the smile he made was oh so gentle like nothing else. Perhaps Chu-E God would never know this, but since then Yun Ruoshi had fallen for him due to that smile. It's like a drug to her, to the point she could no longer extricate herself from him. But why does his eyes only have her in his view and not me? Even if that woman is already dead, he still can't forget her. God. Slowly striding forward with pain in those eyes. She didn't want to make this difficult but had to for her own sake. Is she not dead yet? The man didn't answer her, only floating in the sky silently with a face that couldn't be read. It's because she's alive that you won't let me go make trouble for the demons, isn't it? A borderline mad laugh escapes the woman now tear-stricken face, causing that beautiful contour to turn ugly and unsightly. Why do you treat me like so? I loved you for so many years and waited a millennium for you. Why are you so insistent on her? Is it because you knew her first? The outburst finally earned her a glance from God. However, those eyes weren't of comfort or warmth. It's a chilling gaze that made the woman freeze all over. Closing her eyes again, Ruoshi knew this was how it's going to be, but still, to be so inferior to the dead only made it that much worse. I understand then. I won't go making trouble for the demon realm anymore. But you should know the keepers won't stand down just because I'm stopping. Celestial Realms Faction 6. Looking upwards at the man's perennially emotionless face, she found it to be such a pity. It's such a wonderful face. A face that she could never get enough of. Yet, it has never once smiled again since that woman died so long ago. Nor can she see the very first doting face that made her fall so madly in love with him. Good that you know what you can and can't do. God did not sugarcoat his words. Though it's not threatening or negative, it's neither kind nor warm, so there's a lot of room for interpretation. In this case, it only made the love-struck woman even more pained as she pierced those nails into her palm due to the intense strength she used in that clenched ball of a hand. She's finding it extremely hard to hold her breathing in check, and that made it insufferable. God! She reached out in a vain attempt to grab at the man's sleeve. Unfortunately, it only took a warning glance from the individual to make her falter backwards. When are you coming back? Pursing her lip, that voice was mixed with a begging tone. When it's time, I will naturally go back. That said, this emotionless man whisks his sleeve and departed without another word, leaving no traces of him ever coming or being here in the first place. Miss? The maid by the name of Xiao Qing timidly spoke from behind. Are we really going to give up on the demon realm? Despite her promise, Ruoshi's following answer was completely opposite of that. Give up? Why should I give up? The demon realm deserves to die. As long as it's something related to her, then they all deserve to die. Flashing a red glow in her eyes now, which was very different compared to her usual demeanor. We are going to that city of demons. I want to confirm with my own eyes if that woman really is dead or still alive. If she is alive, then I won't mind sending her back to the oblivion for a second time. No one is allowed to fight me for him, no one. Dragoni, we should be at the mentioned city once we pass this place. At this very moment in the dead of night, Baishachin was still leading his companions through the darkness in this valley. It's then a slight rustling sound from up ahead caught the boy's ear. In his haste, he pulls the girl behind himself and got on alert. Who is it over there? As soon as he shouted that out, a snowy white figure dashed across their sight in an almost ghostly manner, causing the two kids to freak out inwardly. However, the crazy old coot on the other hand did the polar opposite and launched himself into a mad chase. Good granddaughter, are you my good granddaughter? Don't run, good granddaughter. Seeing how their companion just left them behind without understanding the danger this involved, the little steambun knew he couldn't just stand there. Pulling Dragoni with his hand, they chased as well in order to stop him. Grandpapa, you wait for us. As a result of this sudden twist in event, a game of tag and mouse soon ensued within this valley in the dead of night. One floating white figure in the front, a crazy old coot chasing from behind that's followed by two kids who kept crying out for him to stop. Eventually, all things must come to a stop though. The first in this case would be the old coot who ran out of breath as he gasped for air while clinging onto a tree. Why, good granddaughter, why don't you want to see me? Grandpapa, how do you know she's your little bye-bye? Baishachin finally caught up as well with his stepsister. Hard of breath, he asks with a huffy voice. You're too dumb. My little bye-bye likes to wear white. That means she must be my bye-bye. The old coot angrily stomps at the ground in frustration due to his inability to catch his granddaughter. Celestial Realms Faction 7. Twitching his mouth out of reflex due to that ridiculous answer, Bai Xiachen almost wanted to scream. But Grandpapa, that bad woman from yesterday is also wearing a white dress. It's not the same. Even if that bitch turns to ash, I will still recognize her. The old coot kept grinding his teeth when speaking. It's clear the grudge he held for Yun Ruoshi has seeped straight into his bones and would never be forgotten. Email protected from out of the blue before anyone knew what's happening. A looped rope just dropped down from the tree where the old coot was leaning against and locked him into a tie. Now the poor senior was hanging upside in a bind with a clueless face at what has happened. Who's attacking me? Let me down now. I still need to go chase my bye-bye. Just as the old coot was trying to break free, a voice interrupts him from the rear. I'm afraid you won't have the opportunity to go after your good old granddaughter anymore. Coming out of hiding was Yun Ruoshi in person, her smile full of ridicule and mocking flavor when looking at her hated foe. Weren't you all about beating me before? Where's your attitude now? Oh right, don't try to struggle. I stole the rope directly from the shrine altar of the Celestial Palace. It can subdue even someone of your level with ease. The altar was rarely visited by anyone, so she's very confident no one would discover the rope's disappearance until a much later date. If Yun Ruoshi had to lament on anything, it would be her wasting the precious treasure on the crazy old coot when she had intended to use it on the Demon King. What are you planning to do? Bai Xiachen's expression turned a darker note. And the white woman just now, was that one of your people? Almost showing a mad snarl at this point, the wretched woman did not hesitate to admit to the fact. Brat, just because you bunch managed to catch me in the public yesterday doesn't mean it will turn out the same tonight. No one is going to be able to save you, though the person herself doesn't realize it yet. But the face Yun Ruoshi made was borderline insane. Those eyes were wide with madness and that grin predatory like she's going to tear into them. As a result, Dragoni instinctively hid behind the boy for cover and didn't want to come out of hiding. Let old grandpapa down. I'll let you do as you please with me. The little steam bun offers, understanding there's no one else here to take charge unless he does. Ha ha! Cackling like she's heard some hilarious joke, the woman stares down at the brave kid with contempt. Let him down? This old thing has been making trouble for me for years, and yesterday he dared to humiliate me before the public, yet you still expect me to let him go. Showing a derisive smirk. And you shouldn't be worrying about others when you can't even secure your own safety. The last comment finally made the little steambun's heart sink, deliberately lowering his voice into a hushed tone, so it could only be heard by the little missy. Dragoni, I'm going to toss you out of here in a bit. You go to the city and find mother and batty father for help. Gidge, big brother. Dragoni tightly clenched the boy's hand after hearing that, those eyes full of worry. Don't hesitate. There are only 100 miles left before the demon city. At your speed you should be able to reach it in no time. Only by finding batty father can you save us here. Despite her unwillingness to leave, Dragoni purses her lip and nodded in the end, knowing full well he's right and there's no other choice. Bai Xiachen's injured mother, Dragoni's complexion had gone white due to her own urgency. There is a bad woman trying to kill Gidge, big brother. Please go save him. Bai Yen nearly lost her footing once she heard that outcry. Grabbing the girl's shoulder, there's an unmistakable fear in her trembling voice. Where's Xiachen? Where is he? Mother, I'll fly you to Gidge's location. Please get on my back. Unable to afford any time to explain, the little missy transforms back to her dragon form and crouched down so her godmother could get on with ease. Queen! The guards were now also growing extremely troubled after realizing what they're doing. Running over to plead. His Majesty said it's too dangerous out there right now. Please stay here and let us go instead. Stern and unyielding. Tell Ditsong I'll be back very soon. Dragoni, go. Okay. Not wasting another second, Dragoni's body zipped through the sky like a lightning bolt, leaving only a trail light of her ever being there in the first place. This? One of the guards choked out his worry. Should we go inform the king? But the king is in battle with those people right now. I fear his majesty won't be able to separate himself from the fight. We better wait until he returns and then report this. Another demon guard says after weighing their choices. Unlike some of the others out there, these demons are the ones that have only recently came out of the secret domain, so they are very much unaware of Ditsong's love for Baiyan. It's not just pampering, it's mad love. So, though not intentional, they've pretty much dug their own grave for not reporting the queen's departure. At the front of the city gate, hordes of demons are now standing at ready against the enemy that has come to attack their den. Demon King Ditsong. Crying out this was a middle-aged man in opposition to the defenders, his smile mocking and derisive. Don't you know whose property this stretch of land is? How dare you animals come to the celestial realm? Who gave you such courage? So far I still haven't given my queen her bride's gift. None of the monarchs could comprehend that reply. It was not easy for my queen to fancy a place. Since she wants something now, it's only right I lay down my claim to give her. Though mild and light in his tone, Ditsong's words were ridiculously effective to the point where it's making waves among those who's heard it. Then again, who could blame these monarchs for reacting so strongly? They've theorized thousands of possibilities for this invasion. Ambition? Desire for power? Greed? But now it's nothing but a desire to flatter his wife with a bride's gift? What the hell? What sort of reasoning was that? Ha ha ha! The middle-aged man breaks out into a wild laugh, his voice ringing out like a bell in this night. Do you think you can subdue the celestial realm with only your strength? How ridiculous! I will show you today that this world is not something you can touch with your filthy hands. Bai Shachen's injured, too. The middle-aged man moved after saying that, and he's fast. However, right as his eagle-like claws of a hand were able to reach Ditsong's face to tear off that skin, the demon king in front suddenly disappeared without a trace and were lost to his eyes. Shocked, he searched for his target in a frantic scan of the front. Then that's when the cold, hard voice drifted over from his rear. Bang! With a muffled sound of a heavy thud, he stumbles forward in the air and swore inside at his own carelessness. You're a high divine? He asks after collecting himself from the blow, those eyes shocked and alarmed. Isn't the demon realm already weakened beyond compare? Why is this man still able to break into the high divine level? Qin Yuan, quit wasting words with this demon and finish him off. I refuse to believe with all of us attacking at once he can still block us off. Coming out among the assaulting group was a woman. Though beautiful in appearance, the disgust on that face towards the demon king was unabashed and forward. The man may look handsome, but he's a demon and I hate demons. That's the signal for these monarchs to move. They rose from their station posts and took to the air in an encircling position, followed closely by their respective forces from behind in terms of numbers. The demon realm had thousands here tonight, while the celestial realm brought over tens of thousands more, a sizable difference in quantity. Sire, First Elder's expression had furrowed into a frown. Me and the other demons will handle those below the high divine level. Your Majesty can be assured no one will bother your battle with the others. Ditsong didn't utter a word in response to the elder's promise. Instead his gaze turned back to the city where his wife should be. For some unknown reason, he's feeling very uncomfortable inside, like something bad was going to happen. Make this fast. His tone cool and unreadable. That's right. He's going to make this battle come to an end as quickly as possible, because he wants to return to his wife's side. Only there would he feel at ease. As you wish, sire. Back over in the opposite end, Dragony was zooming through the night sky at max speed right now. The little Missy's very afraid, fearing even a second of delay would cause Bai Shachen and the old grandpapa to lose their lives. Dragony, how far is the place? It felt like someone's ripping at her heart, so Bai Yan's voice was full of worry when asking. It's Ju just up ahead, mother. We'll be there real quick. The Missy's practically sobbing now, so it was not easy to make out her words. At the same time, back over in the valley, Bai Shachen's bloodthirsty existence continues to draw closer to the venomous bitch that wanted his life tonight. You deserve to die. Towards this huge change in the boy's attitude, the crazy old coot also changed. He's no longer showing the dumb grin like usual. It's focused and deep. Bai Xiaqin's injured 3. Swish. Bai Xiaqin's swinging punch sets off an audible gush of wind when trying to hit its target. Yun Ruoshi naturally felt threatened when it shot straight for her head. So, she ducked in a frantic attempt to dodge. When done, what followed was a huge rumble of an explosion from the rear due to the boulder behind blowing apart from the impact and shattering into hundreds of pieces. Boy, if you got the ability, then follow me. Her expression soon calmed down again after confirming her initial suspicion. Without hesitation, she turns and ran deeper into the forested valley, with the boy giving chase from the back. During the entire process, Bai Xiaqin had never once relented in his attacks. He pounded away with his little fist and wreaked havoc to the greenery. Some were the direct result of his punches making contact with the ground, thus leaving a crater in its wake. The others were the indirect result of the blast of wind coming out of his swing that left destruction ahead like the boulder from the first punch. However, due to Yun Ruoshi's speed being so much faster and her cunning evasive maneuvers, none of the attacks were able to make contact. This little thing, where the hell did this monster come from? Gnashing her teeth, Yun Ruoshi could say for certain this brat and herself had some sort of great grudge in the previous life. Not long after the three left the premise from the initial clash, one kid attacking the woman and the old coot jumping in chase while being bound, a dragon soon appeared from the sky and descended with haste. Gidge, big brother, was here with that nasty woman? Where did they all go? Bai Yen didn't need any more information and stretched her senses out right away after hearing the girl's confused comment. A second later, she opens her eyes again with clarity in them. They should be in that direction, Dragoni. Let's chase. No matter who it is, if they dare to touch my son, then they will pay with an ending far worse than death. Okay. Wasting no time at all, Dragoni immediately flew in the directed place referred to by Bai Yen. At the deepest part of the valley. Bang! This time Bai Xiaqin's palm had landed directly onto Yun Ruoshi's shoulder when she stopped to do something, thus causing an incredible amount of pain to shoot through her veins in that instant and sending her several meters away. Spewing out blood from the mouth, the woman's complexion had turned ghostly white with fear upon realizing she's been caught despite her careful planning of luring the boy here. She was so close. Boom! However, right as she thought she would be getting a real hit at being cornered, Yun Ruoshi's amulet abruptly exploded with light, shrouding her entire body with a protective barrier and repelling the little steambun's hit. What's going on here? A look of fluster filled the woman's eye. She's happy to be saved by the sudden intervention, of course, but she's also very nervous at what this meant because the amulet has never once reacted while in her possession aside from once in the past. That one time, it's only due to that woman dripping a droplet of blood to unleash its power. Bai Xiaqin's injured 4. Closing her eyes, a peerless face of a woman appears within Yun Ruoshi's memory. Aside from her, this brat is the only other person capable of getting a response from the moon amulet. For that alone I can't let him live. Under the effects of the glowing white light, Bai Xiaqin's expressionless face gradually devolved into painful outcry. Crouching down, he roars out with both hands holding his little head. You get out! You get lost! Yun Ruoshi just stared at him in shock. What is he going on about? Does he think I don't want to run? He's the one who chased after me. Curling into a clump on the grassy dirty, the little steambun's body kept shaking and trembling like he's struggling with something from within. It's excruciatingly painful and tearing him up both physically and mentally. Batty father clearly sealed you inside of me. Why are you coming out again? You get lost. You get out of me. I'm going to protect mother on my own. You leave right now. You will hurt mother. You monster, you monster. You get lost. Yun Ruoshi didn't even know what's going on anymore. However, whatever the kid was going through didn't change the situation. Upon realizing this was the opportunity she needed to carry out the remainder of her plan, she did it and slowly paced backwards for a specific boulder that's etched into the hill. Reaching out with her palm, she gently pressed down at a certain indentation. Click! Next second later, the earth around the entire valley started to shake and a huge chunk of the earth in front of herself began to sink in like something was devouring the ground from beneath. Knowing she succeeded, An indescribable glee overtakes the woman and turned her eyes into mad, crazed red. This trap was something she discovered by accident many years ago during the turbulent times of her life. Back then, some powerful enemies wanted to kill her and pursued her up to this point. Cornered and without help, the younger Yun Ruoshi clung onto the specific rock with her back and begged for mercy. She was honestly lost for hope back then. A weak young girl against multiple powerful individuals that has her cornered like a rat. What else was she supposed to do? But then that's when she accidentally hit the indentation on this rock and activated the trap. She murdered those people with this stroke of luck. Now, just like back then, she's gonna murder this brat tonight as well. Xiaqin, be careful. Right as the ground beneath the boy is about to cave in and allow the bottomless pit to devour his existence, a loud screaming noise cuts in from above. Next thing Bai Xiaqin knew was a long, elegant hand reaching over and pulling him into a protective hug. With Bai Yan's strength, flying away here should have been a breeze for her in this case. However, she doesn't know why either, but there's a powerful attracting force from this trap that made it impossible to get away from. In the end, she and her son were sucked into there like it's some sort of black hole beneath their feet. At the same time, Dragoni had also landed on the ground after coming late. When she saw her immediate family were gone, the little Missy hesitated at nothing and jumped in of her own volition. Half a ring later, the ground in this valley returns to normal and the bottomless pit that was here just moments ago were completely gone as well. It's as if the strange black hole never existed in the first place. Of course, that's not true at all because Yun Ruoshi was still standing here to show it had all taken place. And right now, this treacherous bitch has had her entire back drenched in cold hard sweat due to the brief momentary eye contact she made with Bai Yan during her sudden intrusion. Those sharp, overbearing eyes, the strong and courageous attitude, it's just like the image from all those years ago. There's no mistaking it in Yun Ruoshi's mind. She's back. Furthermore, the crescent-shaped amulet around her neck was burning hot, right now till it's making a sizzling sound around her skin. How can it be? How can she be alive? I saw it with my own eyes when her soul got destroyed. An ominous shudder rocked the bitch's heart. Bai Xiaqin's injured, 5. Slightly closing her eyes, pain and sorrow took over Yun Ruoshi's face. No wonder. No wonder the demon realm is making a comeback. No wonder God is helping the demon realm. Turns out it's because of that fucking woman. She isn't dead. Is she coming back to take what's hers in the past? Is she here to take what I stole? While the wretched bitch was lost in her own spiraling thoughts, the amulet on the other hand could care less and grew hotter like it's never done before. Finding this painful now, Yun Ruoshi rips the darn thing off her neck with the hand and glares at the item with her blazing eyes of rage. What? You want to leave me as well as soon as she's back? Don't forget, you're mine now. That woman only got you due to luck. But you're mine and that won't change no matter what. The amulet's vibration intensified like some form of retaliation, which in kind made the woman irater than ever. How are you any different from Chui God? Damn you all. This world can only belong to me, Yun Ruoshi. You belong to me, and Chui God will also belong to me. Yes, that woman is dead. Even if before she was lucky enough to save her own soul somehow, I will make sure she's destroyed for good this time around. Bye-bye, my little bye-bye. The crazy old coot finally manages to catch up in his tied-up manner. I clearly saw my little bye-bye here not long ago. Where did you take her? All confused and lost on his face, the old coot asks the only person he could find. But then, his confusion quickly changed to complete anger when focusing in on the woman. In kind, Yun Ruoshi taunts back with a snarling sneer. That slut by you never should have come into this world. Heck, I'm not afraid to tell you the truth either. Just now I did see her here, and what a pity, you came a minute too late. You will never see her again. Furrowing that old brow in inexplicable confusion. But why? Why can't I see my little bye-bye anymore? Because, just now, she has died. Because, just now, she has died. Those words echoed within the old coot's head like a ringing bell, causing his body to freeze up like ice. No, that can't be true. My good granddaughter is good and obedient. She said she will stay with me as I grow old and will inherit my skills. She promised. My good granddaughter never lies, so it must be you who's lying to me. Boom! Who knows where the old coot managed to summon up the strength? But when he flexed his arms in that moment, one of the knots keeping him subdued instantly snapped. Terrified by the sudden change in power, Yun Ruoshi mutters to herself in disbelief. How can it be? This lasso rope is made of a material that can subdue one's soul. How can this crazy old coot make a part of it snap when his powers are sealed? Liars, you are all liars. I won't allow any of you to say my granddaughter is dead. Whoever say my granddaughter is dead deserves to die. I won't let anyone lie to me. Not good. Seeing the mad old coot was about to completely break free and go on a rampage, Yun Ruoshi hurried to crawl away from the spot and fled for the bottom of the valley. She didn't want to spend another minute in this mess after getting what she wanted. By Xiaqin's injured 6. For Yun Ruoshi's own sake, the decision to scurry away was the right one because in the moment she was gone, the rope binding the old coot promptly snapped apart in its entirety. What followed next was the senior flying down the valley in pursuit like some bounty hunter. 100 meters beneath the valley was a stretch of land littered with withered trees. There's no sunlight here, only darkness and spookiness that sent the skin tingling with discomfort. This was the place where Bai Yen landed in after they fell into the trap activated by the wretched bitch. Loosening her arms that's hugging the boy tightly, this worried mother wanted to examine her son, when Bai Xiaqin suddenly pushed her away. Xiaqin. Surprised by the act, she appeared shocked at the denial. Don't come over, mother. Please don't come. Stepping away, his shoulders were slouched downwards in a dejected manner as well was his head. It's obvious something bothered the boy to the point where he didn't want to face his own mother. Xiaqin, what's wrong with you? Bai Yen didn't listen and continued to draw closer. Forced to step back again, his little body shook with fear against the overstep of boundary. Mother, I'm very ugly right now. Please don't look. So that's it. He's afraid Bai Yen would see his current appearance after having a relapse with the inner monster inside his body. But who was this woman here? She's Bai Yen, the boy's loving and caring mother. There's no way she would turn away at his plead. Embracing him with her own body, the woman's warmth made the boy go stiff but kept his head down anyways to avoid eye contact. Xiaqin, no matter what happens you will always be mother's precious boy. Now look up and let me see what's wrong. Speaking softly in an almost cooing voice, she reaches over to tip the boy's chin so she could get a clear look. As nervous and frightened as he was, the little steam bun didn't resist the gesture and slowly raised his head. Bai Yen could tell how much this affected her son, so she didn't rush it and guided him with the utmost care. Then that's when she realized why. He's still as cuddly and adorable as ever, the same handsome young boy from her memories. However, one of the eyes there had turned a deep red shade. It's evil and cold in nature. That much she was certain because even her body was shuddering for a second when confronted with that gaze. Finding no words would come of the grim reveal, Bai Xiaqin took this as a form of rejection. Tightly clinging onto that sleeve, tears came swelling out as he sobbed away. Mother doesn't like me anymore. Realizing the blunder she's made, Bai Yen hurries to rectify the mistake by drawing a gentle smile. Your new look isn't so bad. It's quite handsome even. Startled at first by what he's heard, the boy stares up in disbelief. Mother doesn't dislike me. You silly. Why would I dislike you? You are mother's precious baby boy. No matter what you change into, I will always love you. That will never change. Hugging to give her son a peck on the forehead as reassurance, Bai Yen didn't lie and said everything from the hearts down. But mother, I'm scared still. Throwing his head into the woman's chest to cover his eyes, those fingers gripped even harder against Bai Yan's sleeve to show his insecurity. I'm afraid I will hurt you. Taken aback by that comment, why you say that? After a long while of silence and contemplation, Bai Xiaqin finally mustered another wave of courage to give his reasoning. Mother, do you remember the last time when you were attacked by the shadow guards from the palace? In order to fend them off, something happened within my body and allowed me to gain more power than I normally would have. Gently snugging his head against her breast to gain some more comfort, he continues with a sad face. But this time, I completely lost control. I didn't even recognize myself during the process. If not for that amulet around the bad woman's neck suddenly intervening with that strange light, I'm scared I would have continued to attack everyone indiscriminately. By Shachen's injured, 7. I know it's thanks to that amulet that I can be me again, but it also turned me into this grotesque form. By Shachen heavily sighs and covers the red eye with his hand. Going white from alarm, Bai Yen didn't want to mess around after hearing this and poured her senses into the boy for examination. Impossible, how can your body be manipulated by another person? I've probed your body, Shachen. You only have your soul inside, so it's impossible for such a thing to happen. Shaking his little head cluelessly, I don't know either, mother. I only know my mind went blank in that moment and that there's a voice telling me to kill everyone. Then that's when my body began to move on its own. Thank goodness I drove Dragoni away, otherwise I might have hurt her in that moment. Trembling in her voice now, Bai Yen tightly wounds her arms around the boy. Believe in me, Shachen. Mother here will never let you be hurt. But mother, I'm afraid of hurting you. Bai Shachen also wounds his little hands around her body for comfort. I can feel it right now, I might lose control at any time. If the day comes where I can no longer recognize anyone, you and Baddie father mustn't be soft on me. Stiffening up in her body, Shachen, because mother is my most important person, I don't want you to be hurt. Drawing a precious smile of warmth and fear, Bai Shachen's appearance only brought even more pain to Bai Yan's heart despite his failed attempt at making the situation better. In the end, Bai Shachen was still only a child. How could he know what a mother's heart thought? Asking her to kill him when the time comes? Absolutely not. Son, everything has a solution. Believe in me. I'll find a solution. Standing up with her boy in hold, she prints a kiss on his forehead to seal the promise. Besides, if you hadn't been there, I might have perhaps already given up long ago. Bai Shachen didn't protest to that statement. He just knew his mother might say that. So, when the time comes, he's going to request the same thing from his old man. The only issue would be the after-the-fact consequences. His mother might hate his old man for the rest of her life. Gidge. Dragoni timidly gets closer as well and reaches out to hold his hand. I will also help you. Smiling brilliant at the girl's support. Mother won't be lonely if Dragoni is with her. And there's my little sister who still isn't born yet. Shachen, Dragoni. Let's go and find a way out of this place first. Narrowing her eyes into a slit after saying that, the contour of Yun Ruoshi appears within Bai Yan's mind. She kept getting the sensation that she knew that woman from somewhere, especially that amulet around the neck. It's very familiar. Demon City. At the mouth of this city, the man whom rules over this place continues to stare down from the sky at those who dared to invade his property. Forget about harming him, they couldn't even touch the corner of his sleeve at this moment. However, Di Tsong's heart continued to grow more dire and uneasy with each wasted minute. Yen Yen. The man suddenly gripped his hand into a ball after reaching out for a second time with his senses. First Elder, you deal with these people. I got something I need to do first. The command greatly startled the senior, who was still locked in battle with the weaker foes among the many attackers. His eyes showing surprise. Let me handle it? How am I supposed to deal with that many high divines? Sire. Where are you going? First Elder asks with trembling nervousness. Bai Shachen's injured 8. My wife is gone. Having said this, Di Tsong's bursts into a flash of light and shot towards the outer perimeters of the city. The queen's gone. First Elder nearly cried out those words when repeating it in his head. The queen's missing? This. Why did no one come inform us of such a big matter? Want to leave? Those high divines didn't miss this, of course, and attacked the Demon King from behind. Scram! Suddenly, a roar of extreme anger booms out of the man's throat, setting off a torrent of shockwave that swept across the battlefield. For the stronger ones, they were still fine, only stumbling backwards and a bit of a daze from the intense sound wave. But the weaker ones were directly blown away across the air and ground until they eventually lost consciousness. Finding their kings about to completely disappear from view, First Elder finally came back to his senses and stiffly turned towards the sky and ground that's still densely packed with enemies. First Elder, what are we going to do? Another demon asks with a nervous face from one side. What else can we do? Drawing a bittersweet smile, First Elder glances down at his storage bag. It looks like I can only resort to using the trump card in my possession. Trump card. This is what Lady Suzaku gave me. That said, First Elder slowly took out a yellow talisman from his storage bag. She knew we are attacking the celestial realm, so this is her backup plan in case we encountered some sort of danger we can't handle. In the moment he tears the yellow paper, a rush of intense heat gushes forward and virtually engulfs the entire night sky in a color of red. Now, a burning bird of flame materializes through the summon. Lady Suzaku, Her Highness the Queen is missing and His Majesty has left in search of her. I implore you to dismiss these people who dares to come make trouble for us. Not saying a word, the giant bird of flame flaps her wings with deadly heat, incinerating the grass and scorching the earth beneath as she does so. There were many cries of pain that came of her mere casual act, but it's still more than enough to make those high divines scurry around in order to avoid being burned like the rest of the weaklings. However, that doesn't mean they couldn't counterattack. When an opening popped up in Suzaku's demeanor, one of the men went straight for her eye with his blade. Against the impudence given to her by this insect, this legendary vermilion bird only found it humorous. That's right, humorous and disgusted by their lack of self-awareness. Bang! One sweep, that's all it took to send the offender shooting down from the air and onto the ground. A crater and a splash of meat was all that's left of the man to show he ever lived. This enraged the remaining high divines from the enemy's side, of course. They swarmed her, and under normal circumstances she wouldn't be able to escape either. However, Suzaku had no intentions of dodging or escaping because the intense heat from her flaming existence bordered on the level of magma. Merely drawing close to her body would melt rocks and metals alike. Shit! One of them saw this sudden increase in heat and knew the mistake they were about to do. Sadly, it was obviously too late because that wing of fire had already swooped up into their faces. By Xiaochen's injured 9, like the last, one of the flames ends up hitting another man's chest and causing him to shoot downwards in a loud splattering smack. As it so happens, the second also landed right next to the first to make them a pair. We've been deceived by Miss Ruoshi. One of the older high divine finally realizes this and yelled his opinion out with anger shaking through his body. She is clearly not asking us to come deal with the demon realm. She sent us here to die. When did we ever offend her? How can she treat us like this? Not only did they suffer tremendously after fighting the Demon King for so long, they didn't even get to touch the guy after Ditsong left. And now there's a bird as well? There's no way they would believe Yun Ruo she didn't know about the strength of the demon realm. But she still tricked them into coming. With everything considered, there's only one answer. She wants them to die. Fight? How are we supposed to fight? Most of my people are already dead. If I continue, then I won't survive either. Another middle-aged man also cries out in rage. Immediately, they all exchanged a look between themselves and a single word blew up in their hearts. Run! The second they vented their desire, each and every single one of these high divines were making a dash for the other way. Likewise, the subordinates that made up the remaining army had also dropped their weapons and turned tail. What point was there to staying if their masters and mistresses were already fleeing? In an instant, the peace was restored to the gates of this city, leaving only a field of corpses to prove there's been a vicious battle taking place. Despite the crumbling order of the enemy forces, Suzaku didn't give chase here tonight, only staring down at the members of the demon realm before her reddish body of flame slowly dematerialized following the bristling wind. Deep in the valley, a purplish figure makes a huge sonic boom as he speared through the air and lands directly onto the spot where Bai Yen was before she got devoured by the earth. There's a deep frown on the man's face as a gloom shrouded over his body. Sire! Behind Ditsong were the two demons in charge of protecting Bai Yen. They likely felt the threatening intent seeping out of their king, so their bodies were extremely nervous and shaky. Didn't I order you two to protect my wife? Is this how you carry out my commands? Sire, it's your son the prince. Something has happened to him. We couldn't stop the queen. Turning around, Di Song's menacing glare locks onto the two kneeling fools. Then why didn't you come inform me? Kissing the ground with their heads now, the guards didn't dare to lie. We didn't dare come disturb you while you were fighting those from the celestial realm. We were going to wait until you're finished, then report it. Bang! Raising a blast of wind with whatever maneuver he did. Di Song's hit directly sends the speaking guard flying out until he hits a tree several meters away, causing him to splutter blood out of his mouth from the injury. Do you know why I want to conquer the celestial realm? It's because my wife wants it, your queen wants it, that's why I'm going to bring it to her. If without her, what use do I have for this celestial realm? And forget about this place, even the demon realm pales to compare with her importance. Something as important as my wife's disappearance, and you're still daring to keep it a secret from me. Anger swelled from within the demon king's heart, causing his cold, harsh voice to inch towards the will to kill. If anything happens to my wife, know this, I won't let any of you off. I'll find you one. Cold sweat takes hold across these guards' body, causing their clothes to become drenched in their own liquid. As a result, the nightly cold wind just became even chillier to the point it's making their temperature drop drastically in this case. Very soon, First Elder also arrives on scene after the battle concluded in his end. Half kneeling there, his voice was respectful and worried. Sire, did you locate Her Highness yet? Grim in his voice, Di Song's hands gripped even tighter over what he's about to say. My bond with her tells me she should have been here. The reply startled the elder. How come we don't see her then? Then Her Highness, the elder asks with careful thought in his wording. But before he could finish his sentence, Di Song had already interrupted him. Dig, even if you have to dig 3 feet underneath. I want her located. With wind blowing against his robe, Di Song's eyes lands firmly onto the ground in front of himself with definite light in there. He's sure something was amiss in this valley, and he's going to find out why. Yes, sire. First Elder readily complies. Cool in his voice, he turns to the 2 guards that's still nearby and hands down the command. Did you not hear the king's order? Go and gather everyone. We're going to turn this entire valley upside down if we have to. Despite one of the demon guards being injured, the 2 nevertheless scuttled away without delay. They're very afraid of what the future awaits them both for failing to protect the queen. At this moment back in the dark dead forest underneath the valley, Bai Yen and her 2 children continues to trek forward with extreme care in case there are dangers lurking nearby. Mother, will Batty Father come find us once he knows we're missing? Bai Shachen asks with a look of guilt plaguing all over his little face. If I hadn't insisted on coming then none of this would have happened. It's my fault for dragging Dragoni and Mother into this mess, tightly holding her boy's hand as reassurance. Your father will certainly come look for us, don't you worry. Besides, we can't simply rely on him to come save us. We must look for a way out using our own strength. Not to mention we've lived for so many years without him to begin with. I refuse to believe we can't leave this strange underground forest just because we're alone again. But the boy hangs his head in a dejected manner. It's not like the little steam bun was being exceptionally bleak in this situation. Rather that he's taking into account of everyone involved. There's his unborn little sister here still, so any sort of danger would become a major threat. Mother, I'm sorry. Biting his lip while trying to hold back his tears. I should have listened and stayed at the palace. That way Dragoni and you wouldn't be in danger with me. It's all my fault. The remark left Bai Yen stiff as a rock. Apparently being so concerned about finding a way out has left her blind to the woes of her own son in this case, which made her feel all the more guilty for not taking better care of the 2 kids. Son, you mustn't think like that. I am very happy that you came with Dragoni to look for me. Giving both kids a hearty hug, a flowery smile blossoms from her face. Believe in me, the both of you. I will get us all out of this underground forest. Also, you were looking down at your unborn sister too much. She's very strong and will get through this just fine. It seems the comforting words had an effect on the boy because he's now looking upwards at the woman's face with hopeful light in those eyes again. Okay, Mother, I believe in you. I'll find you too. Shush! From out of nowhere, a slight rustling sound at the front catches Bai Yan's attention. Alarmed, she snatches both her children to get behind while she scans the area for signs of danger. Very soon, she's discovered the source. It's a pair of eyes hiding deep inside the greenery, and it's staring at her location. Normally she wouldn't be afraid of anything. That's just how her personality works. But this time Bai Yan became very uncomfortable under this intense gaze. It's as if a poisonous snake had wrapped its body around her and made it difficult to breathe. Dragoni also felt this distinctly unpleasant sensation. Scurrying to get behind those legs for cover, she timidly clenched onto her mother's dress for protection. "Mother, I'm scared. There's something terrible over there. Can we not go?" "It's fine, you two stay here and wait for me. I must go investigate this because it's likely the only way for us to leave this place." Loosening her hands around the two nervous kids, Bai Yan gives one final glance behind herself before treading forward with firm strides in those legs. Surprised at being left behind, Bai Xiachen hurries to reach out. "Wait, mother. I want to come with you." "I'm going too." Dragoni hurriedly expressed her wishes as well, not wanting to be left behind no matter the fear. Now that's left Bai Yan in a bind. After much consideration, she knew there's no other choices here but to take them along. Regardless of her order, these two would definitely tag along, so why bother going against their will? "Fine, but you two must stay behind me and not run off no matter what." Having said that, she returns her attention back to the front for whatever's lurking in that darkness. There's no way she's going to allow a mistake at this point to happen. That is. Bai Yan suddenly halted in her steps after getting a clearer view. There's shock plastered all over that face. It's an altar, and atop of this altar was a monster that's being bound to it by multiple spears piercing through its body. So why would Bai Yan call this creature a monster? Of course it's because of that appearance. A goat's head with a body shape similar to that of a snake. What a mishmash of characteristics. To say it's a combination of multiple races wouldn't be an exaggeration in this case. Now here's the spooky part. Despite that body being drained of blood like a husky mummy, Bai Yan could clearly tell it's still alive. Those eyes definitely moved the second it noticed the uninvited guests here. Just that the air it gave off was different to what she felt earlier. What does that mean? There's another creature besides this monster here. Human. It's fate that have led you here. Release me and I will give you gifts beyond your wildest dream. The goat head monster gradually opened its dry husky jaw and spoke. Though crackling and hoarse due to the condition his vocals were in, this monster's voice still left Bai Yan unnerved from top to bottom. It's a feeling she never experienced before despite how weak it sounded for an old-timer. "Let you go." Bai Yan snickers derisively at that foolish request. "If I did let you go, then what assurances do I have that you won't kill me on the spot? Do you think I'm that stupid?" The monster actually appeared taken aback by the rebuttal. Apparently he didn't think others would ever reject his promise. "Human, you don't know who I am? I am Dragon God. If you release me from this binding, then I can give you countless benefits." Dragon God. Rubbing her chin, Bai Yan's eyes examined the self-proclaimed Dragon God repeatedly, ticking the corner of her lips upward. "You look more like a goat with a snake's body? Which part of yourself looks like a dragon here?" The monster's expression became visibly floored on the face. "This human. She doesn't know me? Can't be. My legendary tales have been lost from this world over the years of my confinement? I'll find you three." The monster glared at the impudent woman, showing a sharp light that shouldn't be possible since those eyes had long bordered on the line of mummification. "Little girl, your body is giving off the smell of those ancient bone dragons. If I am correct, the bone quill in your possession belongs to my subordinates. Now do you know my identity?" Bai Yan appeared stunned on the face. The bone quill she used as a weapon was something she received while training in the Holy Domain. To be seen through with only a glance when she never brought it out definitely pushed her on the defensive. After throwing that out there, the monster then turns to the little missy, who immediately shrank backwards for cover. Dragoni doesn't know why either, but the second that gaze stared over in her direction, an instinctive fear instantly took over. It's almost like a natural instinct to cower before that monster, or that's what she's feeling right now anyways. This girl is a descendant of that guy? But her strength, that's just unsightly. Making a frown, the monster returns his attention to the woman after being displeased by what he saw. Let's do this then. Release me from this binding and I will enhance the girl's strength. How about that? That guy? Bai Yen didn't say anything, only staring down at her goddaughter in deep thought. Dragoni is the daughter of the last dragon chief? Who is this monster referring to by that guy? Was there some kind of mix-up in her birth? That Dragoni is an orphan picked up by the previous dragon chief and not his real daughter? Or is she also like me, someone that has a previous life and reincarnated in this? But there's no way this monster will me the truth. He's obviously a cunning one and will drag the matter out if I ask. What's more, there's still another monster nearby. I can't take the risk. I don't know you well, nor can I believe any of the promises you give me. What if I free you and you kill me in a flash? Wouldn't I have done more than I can swallow? All smiles on her face. She's clearly trying to steer the conversation in a certain direction with that. The lack of trust enraged the monster a bit. I am the great dragon god. How dare you question my reliability? If you don't free me, then I will kill you the second I break free from these spears. Shrugging. You are already crying about murdering me. Why should I care at all? Sorry, but I haven't lived enough in this life yet, so I don't want to die for the time being. You? The mummified body of the monster actually trembled profusely due to the rage circulating through his veins. Furthermore, he didn't bother to hide the killing intent in those eyes anymore and released it full mount and made the party stumble backwards a step. At first Bai Yen intended to leave this monster and move on. But then that same uncomfortable sensation of a snake wrapping around her neck had come again. Who? SZZ slithering through the grass was a snake of turquoise green after followed the sound to get a better view. It's small in size, only about her arm in length. But Bai Yen could swear every bell under her skin had been rung in that second and brought her to full alarm. Half a moment later, the snake had come before the party and stopped. Without saying another word, that body gradually stretched and elongated until it took on a human form. It's a woman wearing a dress similar in color to its scales. However, the most eye-catching feature wasn't what she wore. Rather, it's her face. Half of it was covered in snake scales akin to a mask. Little girl, the words of this guy are not credible. If you release him, then he's going to kill you right away. Half Ching Sing, half Great Beauty. What nonsense are you spouting, you slut? Livid on his face, the monster lashes out in furious rage. I am Dragon God. You think I will lie? Little girl, hurry and release me. This insidious bitch is not to be trusted. Everyone who has ever come here has been killed by her. Just like how she's going to do to you. I'll find you. For Che, half Ching Sing draws her lips into a seductive yet cold smirk. Dragon Flame. It's not good for you to always deceive the humans who come here. If it wasn't for me being unable to draw close to your body, I would have long killed you. After saying that, the snake woman with half of her face covered in a scale mask turned to Bai Yen, her eyes a verdant green of eerie discomfort. Little girl, this dragon's words are not credible, so you must never trust him. In response, Bai Yen just sneered due to her own experience. But I don't believe in snakes either. Going stiff from the unexpected answer, the snake woman had to take a long moment before recollecting herself and breaking out into a giggling laugh. You really are interesting, little girl. Why would you think us snakes are liars? Apologies, but my impression of snakes isn't very good from past experiences. That's right. She hasn't forgotten how the snakes tried to connive after his husband and how they tried to kill her boy and herself. With these points alone, any sort of fondness had been crushed. Ha ha ha. Dragon Flame saw the ugly expression brewing on the demoness face and burst out laughing. Half Ching Sing, do you hear that? This little girl doesn't trust you, so you're not any better than me. After the taunt, the mummified goat snake turns back to Bai Yen. Unlike the last exchange, his tone was much gentler this time around. Little girl, hurry and release me. I will give you a great deal of benefits if you do so. Turning sharp in the eyes as well after being repeatedly bombarded with requests, Bai Yen swept her gaze across both of them and made her stance. I won't believe either of you. Just like the snake, Dragon Flame's expression also turned into a rock. He's extremely annoyed at this point, but pressed the inner anger down anyways out of fear for breaking any chances he has of escaping. It's then by Xiachen finally spoke up, his eyes sparkling with devious light when staring at half Qing Xing. Since you have such deep hatred for this dragon god, why didn't you finish him off yourself? Almost holding the boy in contempt in her face, the snake answered with snappiness in that voice. You think I didn't try? If I can kill this old thing, then I would have done so long ago. Why would I ask others to do that if I could? That said, she turns her head towards the altar again where a giant sword lies planted to the ground. Though the sword handle had long rotted away due to age, the gleaming light from the blade was just as bright since the day it was forged. It's obvious to anyone with half a brain that the sword was extremely and unusually sharp. Do you see that sword? Pick it up and stab the blade into Dragon Flame's chest. It will finish off the last spark of life in him. As long as you help me kill this old bastard, then I will send you out of this god-forsaken place. How come you don't do it yourself? Asked the little steam bun again, his face and voice found only in a curious baby. Laughing. Us demons are unable to draw close to that sword. Only a human can wield it. If it wasn't because of this guy's heart being nearly impenetrable, I would have killed him with my own hands long ago. So that's why, nodding his head like he's enlightened by the explanation, Bai Yan smiles slyly at his own mother. Mother, why don't you go pick up the sword like she says? Bai Yan naturally knew what her boy wanted in this case and played along just as well. Nodding with a smile, she slowly proceeded to the giant sword. Half Qing Xing saw this, which made her lose control from elation. She could no longer hold back the joy inside and involuntarily revealed the cheeky cunningness of someone that has achieved their goal in an evil plot. Human girl, you mustn't listen to this snake. Growing dire in his bloodshot eyes, Dragon Flame sounded almost frantic in his voice now. If you kill me, then the next one to go will be you. Bai Yan continued to ignore the rants of this goat-head monster and did what she set out to do. With one pull from both her hands, the giant sword weighing over 1,000 jins was finally released from its resting spot and held up in the air. Note: 1 jin equals 0. 5 kilograms. It's an old Chinese measurement founded in 1959. Hardly used outside of China but still used today in markets. I'll find you 5. I say. If this sword can kill this goat-head monster, then it can also kill you, right? Fiddling with the sword in a playful manner, Bai Yan locks eyes with half Qing Xing and made the demoness freeze up. What do you mean by that? If my guesses are right, your strength used to be extremely powerful, so your body is also very sturdy, meaning general weapons are useless against your skin. Is that also correct? Deepening in her smile, Bai Yan continues with fangs baring. This sword, since it can pierce through his heart, it can also do the same to you as well, am I right? You... The demoness grew livid at what this was leading to. Stinking girl dares to scheme against me. If Bai Yan had showed the intent to betray her earlier, then half Qing Xing would never have allowed her to get close to the sword. But that clearly wasn't the case. In fact, the entire time she felt it was the opposite. Bai Yan wanted to help her. I thought the snakes were a cunning race. Why would you think I would help you when I explicitly said I didn't like snakes? Shrugging, Bai Yan smugly grins at the foe and made the dragon god relax again. Girl, I didn't think you would be so fitting of my appetite. When dealing with a slut like half Qing Xing, what you did there is the right decision, ha ha ha. Swish! The sword came flying over as soon as he threw those words out there, causing the goat monster's skin to bleed from the contact and staining his scales red. What are you trying to do? Dragon Flame exclaims with great anger. Tucking the sword back into her hand, Bai Yan playfully wipes the blood with her sleeve. Nothing much. I'm only trying out this sword to see if it's sharp. The answer nearly made the dragon god puke out blood because that gesture almost scared him to death. What's wrong with this human girl? I didn't say anything to offend her, so why is she using me to test the sword? Little girl. Dragon Flame flickers his eyes back and forth in deep thought before speaking out with temptation. How about you help me kill this snake? If you kill her, then I'll do 3 things for you. Rubbing her chin, Bai Yen seems to have another idea in mind. How are you supposed to help me when you're all tied up? This, showing a frown on his old goat face. Isn't that easy? You release me and I will help you do the 3 things you ask. I am Dragon God. I will never betray my benefactors. I can't trust you. She never trusts strangers, let alone a monster carrying a goat head and a snake's body. What's more, the sensation from these 2 beings weren't good on any level. One felt like he wanted to eat her, while the other wanted to strangle her. In the end, neither of them were good choices. However, beaming a light in her eyes, Bai Yen throws out her main objective. If you bond a contract with me, then I will consider working with you. How about it? Dragon Flame's expression turned into a disbelieving popsicle. This little human girl wants to contract me? How ludicrous. I am Dragon God. No human girl will force me into servitude. Little girl, I can do 3 things for you, so let's drop the subject about the contracting. I'll find you 6. Oh? Then I got no other choices then. Shrugging at the old goat's unwillingness, she continues to smile without care. I only offered you the deal because I don't like the sinister nature of the snakes. If you aren't willing, then I can always offer half Ching Sing the same deal and help her kill you. The demoness didn't take that indirect threat very well at all. In fact, her face had turned ugly when speaking out to shoot the notion down. Dragony Flame, I will never sign a soul-binding contract with her. In other words, you don't have a reason to play along with the human because she won't do it, hence defaulting on Bai Yan's poised threat. Sure enough, the indecisive goat stopped swaying after hearing that reassurance and bellowed out a laugh. Little girl, you can stop threatening me now. I am Dragon God, a being far beyond the comprehensions of a measly human. How can you ever think of soul-binding me with a ritualistic contract? Not getting impatient, Bai Yen didn't respond right away and instead found a nearby tree to take a seat. One arm holding her boy and the other combing through her daughter's hair. She was all comfy and happy in her position. I don't mind waiting, you can think on it. Choose to leave here and regain your freedom, or continue to live out the rest of your life in this miserable and godforsaken place. The choice is yours. After throwing that out there, she went ahead to close her eyes for rest and waited. Demon City. All the demons gathered here today were trembling with terrible fright right now due to the oppressive might of the Demon King sitting on the throne. Why did none of you locate my wife yet after more than half a month? The man's voice sounded extremely cold, choking even to those beneath with his every word. Eventually it was First Elder who worked up the courage to answer. Sire, we have dug 100 feet into the ground and still found no traces of Her Highness. Might I ask, are you sure the Queen is in that place? You think my instincts are wrong? Di Tsong's frustration could literally be felt by everyone at this point, making the atmosphere in this throne room all the more suffocating. Continue to dig. Do not come back to see me if you can't find my wife. Bowing his head, First Elder and the rest of his subjects complied in unison. Yes, sire. Very soon. The only one remaining was the Demon King himself. Once he's alone, Di Tsong could no longer keep supporting his body and tiredly fell back against his throne chair, muttering helplessly to himself. Yen, if you're not by my side, then what point is there to my life? I've said it before, I will turn heaven and earth in order to find you. Not even hell will block me from you. Back over in the underground valley, Bai Yen remains closely seated to the altar and was oblivious to the commotion she caused due to her own disappearance. Fine, I promise you. Dragon Flame finally gave in after seeing the woman had no intention of budging after all these days of waiting. However, this wouldn't be the end of it for this dragon god. Once he regains his strength, the goat monster had every intent to forcibly break the contract and make her pay. Seeing through to the monster's scheme, Bai Yen draws her lips into a cheeky smirk. Want to scheme against me? We will see who gets stronger first, you recovering quicker or me growing faster. Since I am not as strong as you right now, there are risks involved if we continue with the contract. She explains in a relaxed manner. The minimal affect is the failing of the ritual if you give resistance. The major is endangering my life at the end of it, so I'll find you, 7. Narrowing her eyes into a slit, A flash of cold light glimmers in those irises. Xiaqin, I'll leave this sword here with you. If you see this guy showing any signs of resistance, kill him right away. The monster recognized Dragoni's identity but didn't with her boy. That's why she left this command just in case as a bluff and not a real threat. Okay. The little steam bun nodded immediately in understanding. Don't worry, mother. If he dares to so much as flinch, I will kill him immediately. Pleased by her boy's reassurance, Bai Yen didn't need to wait and closed her eyes in order to spread out the feelers for the ritual. Not good. The snake went white from this. She wanted to stop this from happening, however. The second she inched forward was when her eyes caught a glimmer of that sword. As a result of this hesitation, she retreated and left the two to finish their ritual. The contract has been reached. Now I will fulfill my promise to release you. With a stretch of her hand, the giant sword instantly flies into her grasp and allowed her to slice down, slashing the chains and destroying part of the metallic spears pinning the old monster in place. Dragon Flame definitely showed an elated face after being freed. But that excitement promptly turned to dismay in the next second until it devolved into full-blown anger. He rushed Bai Yen like he's seen a lifetime menace from out of the blue. It's you. It's you. You're the one who locked me here in this godforsaken place. I'm going to kill you. Bang. But before his body could even draw close to Bai Yen, an invisible force had repelled his charge and sent him rolling back multiple meters away. This was the constraint of being bound by a familiar contract. Due to this reasoning, Dragon Flame wouldn't be able to hurt his own mistress. Snickering at the damnable goat monster. It looks like my premonition is correct. You indeed want to hurt me. Fortunately, I've contracted you. Now you can't do anything against me anymore. Spewing fire from his eyes, the dragon god snaps back. How dare you say such despicable words to me? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in such a miserable state to begin with. If I had known from the beginning, I would rather be chained for the chest of my life than to do this deal. Bai Yen actually got surprised by the outcry of her familiar. You know me? Don't pretend like you don't know anything. You may have changed your shell, but I will recognize you even if I turn to ash. Now through this contract I am certain it is you. She's absolutely dumbfounded by this twist of event. Why do I get the feeling this monster really does know me, and sounds like I'm the one who locked him away here in the first place? Dragon Flame then pointed to the remaining parts of those spears still inserted in his body. You also used these things to seal my strength. Don't think for a minute you can deny you're her. This? Scratching her nose, Bai Yen cracks an awkward laugh to defuse the situation. I really don't know anything regarding the stuff you mentioned. I only came to the celestial realm recently. Before that I was always in the human world and demon realm. Now it was the dragon god to become confused by what he's heard. Human world? Demon realm? What the heck are you going on about? You think I will believe the nonsense you are saying? Shrugging at being called a liar. Believe it or not, I've never seen you before. As for why I'm here, I fell into this place by accident and didn't know a way out. I'll find you. 8. Dragon Flame saw there's no deceit in Bai Yan's eyes, so his expression gradually softened up. My judgment can't be wrong, you're clearly that bitch. But first I'll deal with this snake, then I will come back for you. He turns and locks onto the demoness with his cold hard grin, those eyes burning with fire. Half Ching Sing. I'm sure you had a lot of fun torturing me over the years. Now I finally got a chance to get revenge. Ha ha ha. The snake shuddered in fear over that proclamation. Taking several steps back in haste, her expression was that of someone meeting their doom. That's the level of despair she felt. Over. This time I'm dead. Wait! Just as the goat monster was about to begin his torture, a crisp-sounding voice cuts in, turning around in bad spirit at the source. What? I can't kill you already. Now you won't let me kill this snake either? I only don't want to put her to waste. As it so happens today, me and my kids are interested in having snake soup for dinner. Snake soup? Bai Xiaqin's eyes immediately lit up. Mother, I haven't had snake soup in a long time. I want snake soup. I also want to try, mother. I never tasted snake soup before. Dragoni also decides to chime in, her mouth slightly drooling from the prospect of food. Half Ching Sing's complexion grew increasingly dire, her body continuing to retreat from the party. Are you humans always this insidious? I only wanted to use you earlier, not kill you. Why can't you spare me? Unfazed by that defense, Bai Yen just smiled and pointed out the flaw in that logic. From what I see, that's a lie. Those piles of bones over there, they're the humans that came before us, right? You killed them just like how you were going to kill us if we couldn't lift up that sword. The snake became stiff as a rock, not denying that theory. Taking a step to lean forward in a taunting manner, Bai Yen continues with a nonchalant air to herself. If it wasn't because I took control of the whole situation, you wouldn't be begging me right now, so there's nothing insidious about what I'm doing. The snake continued to remain silent, only biting her lip as if each word was a form of sentencing in court. There's a whole layer of sweat spewing out of her forehead at this point. That's how scared she was. Nevertheless, the demoness eventually worked up the courage and asked with grit between her teeth. So what are you going to do? Thickening in her grin until it's almost a snarl, Bai Yen didn't bother to hide her plan. You are in luck. If it was in the past, then I would have turned you into soup, no questions asked. However, I am currently short on helping hands as of late. With your thick skin, using you as a shield would be plenty useful, so long as you recognize me as your mistress through a slave contract, that is. Astonished on her face, Half Ching Sing practically cried out her reply without another thought. Slave contract? You want to enslave me? The reasoning behind the outcry was the different treatment between the two parties. For Bai Yen and Dragon Flame, their bond was that of mistress and familiar, an equal level of control between them both. To be clear, it's not like she didn't want to subjugate the goat monster to her whims through this deal. Just that the strength disparity between herself and said dragon god was too much of a stretch. Even if she did manage the enslavement contract, it would have been pointless because the side effects would have been only detrimental to herself. Now this was where Half Ching Sing differed. She's hardly as strong compared to the old goat, only at upper level of the bottom divine stage, plenty of room for Bai Yen to fully enslave without any consequences. I'll find you 9. Now do you want to live? Or do you want to become snake soup for tonight's dinner? Bai Yen continues to toss out her threat, while rubbing the giant sword in her hand as a constant reminder she's not joking around. A wave of numbing shudder ran through the snake's backbone after coming up with the picture of herself being dunked into a pot and cooked for an hour. Why does this human woman sound more insidious and slyer than us snakes? Mother, I still think it's a better idea to turn her into snake soup. Licking his lip with that tongue of his, Bai Shachen's appearance was all innocent and lovely like a hungry child waiting for his food on the dinner table. However, in the eyes of the one being placed on the chopping block, Half Ching Sing only found the boy the most hateful and evil here among the group. She's not a sicko that's into necromancy. She also wants to live. You're really going to let me live after I make a contract with you? She nervously asks again with biting unease. Shooting a cold and borderline indifference look in return, Bai Yen wants to make sure the snake understands her own position in this trade. Then what makes you think I can't kill you now and turn you into soup anyways? Spluttering for a proper reply, the snake had to take a good moment to collect herself after that remark. Maybe you are into torturing others, maybe you got that kind of fetish. What did you just say? Bai Yen snaps back harshly for being accused of such nasty things. Sure enough, that sort of tone immediately mowed down any discontent in the snake's attitude because it's obvious even to this demoness that's a taboo subject. I will contract with you. No! Dragon Flame bursts out in protest. I don't agree. You damn coward. Didn't you say you will never contract with her? What do you think you're doing? If Half Ching Sing does end up in a contract with Bai Yen, then how was he supposed to get payback on the blasted snake? Snorting at the goat monster's attempt at making her feel bad. And you said you will never yield either? What happened to that? Aren't you also in a contract with her now? If you can go back on your words to save your own hide, then why can't I? Trembling with either rage or embarrassing shame, not sure which emotion was the stronger force here, the dragon god swings his goat head back to Bai Yen. At first he wanted to say something to make his case, but that promptly got cut off by the woman herself instead. I don't care how you get revenge on half Ching Sing. Just don't hurt her life. She's still useful to me. As annoyed and unwilling as he was, Dragon Flame huffs and huffs but relented in the end. What else could he do but suck it up? However, the fact that he could still gur revenge on the blasted snake did leave his mood in a better place. So what if I can't take her life? There's plenty of other ways to make her suffer. Kakaka, just you wait half Ching Sing. I will pay you back for all the humiliation you brought me and more. The old goat grinds these words out, fire spewing from his tongue. A humph. Bai Yen suddenly makes a dry cough, interrupting their conversation with her own inquiry. Dragonflame, just now you assumed I was another person, did you not? Well, I like to know if that person is also the one who tossed half Ching Sing in here, or is that someone else entirely? The dragon god's answer fell into the latter by the way he shook his head. No, I in fact don't know half Ching Sing prior to being sealed here. I don't know who left her here or why she can't leave. I only know this sick bitch likes to play pranks on me for fun. Then, some years ago, pausing for a moment like the idea of retelling the story was something he didn't want to elaborate, he continued anyways after biting his own tongue. I was angry at being constantly taunted, so some years ago when she drew too close to me, I deliberately sprinkled my pee on her body. Afterwards, she's been hating me to the bone and would always send those humans at me whenever they drop in here. Then how did she know this sword can kill you? The wrinkle on Bai Yan's forehead grew increasingly deeper over the growing questions. Another miracle, one. Oomph. Slightly flushed in the face, the old goat scratches his nose out of embarrassment. There was a piece of paper stuck underneath the sword before. It said the blade can hurt me. Then later half Ching Sing tossed it away for some reason or the next. Bai Yan's face just went black. The person who locked him away here, how perverted is she? Not only did she leave him in that suffering state, she wouldn't even let his mind be at ease? All right. Do you know how to get out of here then? Bai Yan asks while stroking her own chin. As soon as the old goat heard this, he immediately turned irate. You were the one who locked me here. How can you ask me how to get out? Shrugging. Like I said, I'm not the one you think I am. Irked with frustration, Dragon Flame just huffs a grunt of resentment at the woman's refusal to admit. I don't know how to leave this place, so that's that. Since this one didn't know, Bai Yen could only turn to the snake for help. Then what about you? Biting her lip, half Ching Sing's answer wasn't any better. If I had known how to leave then I would have left long ago. Why would I stay until now for you to come? Then I got no other choice. Furrowing up that brow, Bai Yen starts musing over the options here. Son Dragoni, let's keep moving forward. I'm sure there will be some sort of clue somewhere if we keep walking. Don't worry, mother. Showing a confident and innocent smile, Bai Xiachen had no doubt in his cute little voice. We will leave this place. Warmed by the comfort, this mother went ahead to rub her boy's hair as the tense air gradually eased up around everyone. It's then another idea hit her. Turning back to the snake. Say, have you noticed anything special? Like a spot that you can't touch or head into? Special place. Half Ching Sing mused over the idea and then pointed towards a specific direction. That place over there. I can't get close to it. Does that count? Slightly nodding. Bring me to that spot. I want to see for myself. Though a tad hesitant to do that, the snake nevertheless did as told and slithered through the pale brown grass in her bestial form. Before long, the group has arrived at one corner of the underground valley, and unlike the dark, gloomy nature of this underground world, this certain segment was rather, sacred? It's giving off a glow of holy nature. This is the place. Flickering her tongue, the snake's voice was all spooky and rattling when she spoke in that form. Whenever I come here, I would always be stopped by a strange force. Bai Yen frowns, slowly reaching out with her hand to probe the glowing white light in front. Unlike the expected obstruction, though, nothing happened. That hand just slid right through. Seeing this, she went ahead to step forward with her leg as well to no harm. The snake literally gawked her eyes out in shock over this picture. How can this be possible? Why is she able to get in there when I'm always repelled by an invisible force? Mother! The boy saw how his mother had entered the white glow and hurried to catch up. However, the second he drew close, his body was immediately bounced away. Xiachen! Another miracle, too. Bai Yan's expression grew frantic when she noticed her boy being flung backwards due to the glow. Even if half her body had already been inside, she pulled out right away and ran to her boy to help. Xiachen, are you all right? Shaking his little head. I'm good, mother. I'm not hurt. That's good. Relieved by the answer, she glanced back to the strange white light with deeper understanding of why the snake couldn't enter. Mother, what's going on? Dragoni had also ran over by this point and showed a worried face. Why can you go inside and gidge, big brother? Can't? Speaking with a furrowed forehead. If my guesses are right, this place restricts the entry of those with the blood of demons. The snake instantly choked upon the truth being revealed here. No one with the blood of a demon is allowed in. That means the reasoning I can't leave this place is because I'm a demon? And staring with grits and stones between her teeth, half Ching Sing wanted to strangle the blasted kid right this second. You two fooled me. This boy is also a demon. How did I not see this? He couldn't have picked up the giant sword earlier, meaning they bluffed me. I lost my freedom because of a bluff. A bluff. The snake almost got the life sucked out of her at this realization. Looking all dejected and dry, still smiling innocently like usual, Bai Xiachen's reply was damning. That is because you are too easy to fool. I have never seen such a stupid snake before. Going dark in the face. Veins could literally be seen popping along the snake's forehead due to that remark. How dare he? How dare he say something like that after doing this to me? What should we do now, mother? Ignoring the death glare coming his way, the boy asks with his cute face crumpled up due to the situation. Crouching down to get to eye level. You and Dragoni wait here for me. I'll go in alone and see what's in there. Tensing up in the heart, the little steam bun clung onto the woman's sleeve out of reflex. His face all pitiful and sad. Mother, I will worry about you. Don't worry. Nothing will happen to me. Not to mention I've already contracted those two already. Half Ching Sing and Dragon Flame will tell you if I'm alive through our bond. Getting up from the crouch. My first order to you both is to protect my son and daughter. If anything happens to them while I'm not around, then you can be sure the price will be worse than death. Understand? Harsh and fierce, her voice sounded like a ghost crawling out from the earth, making the two servants there all eerily uncomfortable. Despite getting comforted and having extra security around, Bai Xiachen still didn't like the plan. Winding his little hands around his mother's waist, his face told everyone he's not going to take this weakness of his lying down. Another miracle, 3. Staring down at the little boy that's already at her waist high, the woman's lips inexplicably drew into a warmed smile of comfort. He's already so big. Mother, you must come back quickly. After a long time, Bai Xiachen finally released his arms despite his unwillingness. Me and Dragoni will wait here for you, giving the boy a peck on the forehead to seal the promise. She gives the two kids one final hug before disappearing off into the white glow. Once inside and out of view from everyone, Bai Yan could finally get a clearer look of what's inside. Here, she felt incredibly refreshed, sweeping away any fatigue she built up over the many days of being stranded here in this underground valley. Maybe the reason half Ching Sing couldn't leave for so many years is because of this spot in the valley. If someone wants to keep this spot off limits, then it must mean there's something important here, perhaps the exit. Upon recognizing there's hope to escape this dreadful place of darkness, her mind instinctively recalled the face of that woman whom she briefly encountered prior to falling down her. I will settle the score with that woman once I get out of here. No matter the reasoning, the fact she dared to go after Xiachen is enough to make sure she dies. Inhaling deeply to suppress the anger swelling out from within, Bai Yan carefully treaded forward towards the peak up ahead. When she entered the white glowing light, it was only as big as a small cave, but beyond that was clearly a newer and vaster stretch of land, spanning several mountain ranges in the distance. By the time she reached the mentioned area for investigation, it was well into the evening despite the lack of light. Nevertheless, she could see the goal up ahead already. It's a bronze standing gate. If it wasn't for the deep ravine and cliffs in front, she would have run over to examine the thing already. Miracle! A shock ran through Bai Yan's heart upon recognizing the familiar object. There's no mistake, this bronze gate is very similar to the one I saw at the Holy Land. But what is this thing doing here? Despite the doubt and questions lingering around the strange encounter, the benefits of coming across another miracle was more than enough to make Bai Yan disregard the former concerns. After all, she did improve her strength and alchemy by leaps and bounds with one. What would happen if she got two instead? It's just that. Logic has always been the better player here in the woman's head. Scanning the area for traps and that sort of thing, she swiftly picked up a wilted leaf to throw over the cliff and across the ravine. Under normal circumstances, the distance between her side and the other would have been short enough to allow said leaf to fly across without hindrance considering the force she used in this case. However, right as the leaf reached the middle part of the ravine, something occurred. Without indication, the item just stopped and made a nosedive downwards, sinking straight into the dark bottomless abyss. Making a grim face, Bai Yan now knew why she couldn't find any specific trap or dangers here. The environment itself was the trap. It looks like this ravine has been enchanted to suck in whatever floats above it. If I had flown across using my own powers, then it might have been myself who fell into that darkness. Rubbing her chin in contemplation, the woman began to muse over the options here and what she could use. Obviously making a bridge out of wood was out of the options here. There's hardly any tree around to begin with, let alone find one big enough to construct something out of one. There must be something here that I can use. There's no way the one who set this trap would leave without having a way to solve the issue. Think, Bai Yan, your kids are still waiting for you to go back. She mutters to herself like some sort of magical chant. Huh? From the corner of her eye, the glimmering sheen of the huge sword caught her attention. Immediately, an idea hit her brain like a tidal wave. The distance between this side and the other side wasn't that far to begin with, and as it so happens, this giant sword was just long enough to make it across without the chance of tipping. Really? This sword is the bridge? The one who set this up sure have a bad humor. Another miracle for... All right, let's try it then, it won't hurt. At most I will just lose a sword if it gets sucked into that ravine. Tossing the blade in her hand up into the air, Bai Yan precisely aimed to have it land at the perfect spot where both ends could touch the edges. Carefully, one step at a time, she began to cross. Regardless of her own confidence, she knew this was a risky maneuver to use something like a giant sword as a bridge. It wasn't built for such task, so the angle in which she walked wasn't a pleasant experience to say the least. In fact, she nearly slipped a few times just staring down at her feet in order to avoid falling. Thankfully, the worst of it was over soon enough. Once crossed, she promptly retrieved the sword by flicking it upwards with her toe. Done with that, she focuses in back on the bronze gate, the reason for her coming. Zzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. From out of the blue, the giant sword started to buzz right as Bai Yan approached the door. Then, before she knew it, the blade broke free from her control and went on the offensive against the gate. Pong! The sword slashed down mercilessly, causing the bronze construct to shudder with a resonating clank of metal against metal. Despite the setback, the sword didn't stop and attacked more violently, causing the whole valley to shake from the shockwave. Dumbfounded now, Bai Yan just stared at the show from the sidelines. She's heard from the snake that the blade can pierce even the hardest of materials with ease, aka dragon flame scale. Yet the bronze gate only got a little shake from the impact? There's not even a scratch, let alone damage. Yuyuan, growing restless in the form of the resonation, the giant sword circled around the bronze gate as if frustrated by its own inability to break apart the competition. But then it went at it again with renewed vigor. This time it didn't slash down like the previous attempts. It swooped far into the air and charged downwards in one full thrusting motion. Boom! The shockwave was effectively mind-blowing to the ear. Metal against metal, sparks flew, and finally, a small tiny crack formed around the surface of the bronze structure. This gave the sword its confidence back, and as a sign to increase the intensity of its attack like a drug addict being kept away from his cocaine. Eventually, under its long, hard-fought battle, the bronze gate finally collapsed and a blue beady object rolled out of the upper area. Seeing this bead, the giant sword reacted like it's discovered some sort of great treasure and hurried to catch it mid-fall. Following this was the round item merging into the sword's body upon contact. Perhaps this was some sort of evolutionary chain reaction, but the huge body of the blade gradually began to shrink until it's finally the size of an ordinary long sword. From first glance, this newly minted sword was no different from an ordinary blade found in some random weaponsmith, but the newly grown handle and the clear crystal at the hilt said it all. This was the new form of the blade after absorbing whatever that bead was. Picking up her new weapon, Bai Yen gently stroked the surface for a sense of what it was. Compared to the mighty image of that big shape from just now, she's more inclined with this smaller form that's fitting of a lady. It's much easier to handle and much to her taste. So you're a sword with a spirit sprite inside. No wonder you're so powerful. In that case, I'll give you a name. Caressing the lip with the tip of her finger, Bai Yen spent a good minute to come up with a fine name. From this day forward, you will be called Godslayer. How about it? Godslayer, a slayer of gods. I will use you to repay everything those hypocrites in the celestial realm did to my friends and family. In this life and the last, they will all pay. Holding the slumbering sword in hand, Bai Yen didn't linger around and stepped through to the now opened gate that has been pried open by force. Once through, the first sensation was the chilling air that sent her skin hair pricking up. Another miracle. 5. Subconsciously, Bai Yen reached down with her hands to protect the fetus in her stomach against this borderline hostile sensation. What the hell is this place? Taking slow measured steps in order to avoid traps that might be hidden from her view, her footstep was resonating with eerie crispness that echoed along this passageway. Forbidden grounds for demon beasts. These were the words she saw sketched along the passage wall after walking for a while. Blood? How much does the master of this underground valley hate demonic beasts? First is not allowing their kind to enter this part of the valley. Then it's this sentence etched along with blood. Ignoring the strange writing, Bai Yen continues to walk forward and soon came before another entrance. Carefully extending her hand, she pushes the door open and was immediately blasted with the sight of a wide hall littered with stone statues. It's an odd scene for sure. She could see all of these sculptures were of various demonic beasts in their animal form. Some recognizable according to her own knowledge of things. For example, the bone-cool dragon's back in the holy domain was among this group. But many were so foreign to Bai Yen that she could barely make heads or tails of their origin. Then there was the human sitting on the throne chair elevated at a higher point. Who is this person? Despite not knowing if the sculpture was male or female due to the lack of facial features, Bai Yen could still tell the original person must be a prideful individual with the way it was carved out. The angle of that featureless face, it's the way someone stares down at those beneath themselves, just like how Bai Yen and Di Tsong does it when confronted with those they deem insignificant. I see now, this sculpture is probably the original master or mistress of this place. The person hates demonic beasts, so he deliberately sculpted these ancient creatures in a kneeling position to showcase his dislike of them. The theory was a sound one considering everything she's witnessed thus far. It's just that why would someone abhor a racial group to this extent? It can't be. Did a demonic beast rape him or her before? Looking back at her own experience, this was the only idea that Bai Yen could come up with. After all, she herself did rape Di Tsong during their first encounter and made the Demon King abhor her to the point he hunted herself down years later. Other than that, what else could make one dislike another group to this level? Whatever grudge this person has is not important. I have to find a way out of this place first. Retracting her attention away from the sculptures, she scans around in search of any out of the ordinary item or feature. Immediately, her gaze locked onto a book cabinet in the corner of the room. That, beaming with light, she moved with quick haste towards it and grabbed for the suspicious-looking handle that's sticking out between the shelves. With an audible click, a small compartment slid open and bounced out a book. It's very dust, bleached yellow due to age. But Bai Yen couldn't be any more happy after reading the title of the book in her hand. It's an alchemy book? Back in the previous life on Earth, she only got her hands on an alchemy book that taught her knowledge up to the 10th grade materials. As for what comes afterwards, she was like the rest of the people in this world. Simply said, she didn't have a clue until this day. Another miracle. 6. This alchemy book doesn't seem to be complete. There are some pages missing. There's no information regarding anything beyond the 14th grade. Pleased by what she has nevertheless, Bai Yen packed away the book into her storage bag and continued to search for other treasury items. Sadly, after a careful scrutiny of everything that was here, she found nothing else worthy of note and felt disappointed. Then again, it did make sense after some thought. This alchemy book was so precious to begin with that finding something else of this caliber would be a real miracle. With nothing else to do for now, she decides to get a closer look at the statue. Why do I keep getting the feeling that this statue is not quite right? She rubs her chin questioningly. Even though the model didn't have eyes sculpted onto it, she could make out where the chin of this person was aiming at. There's a fox at the bottom of the stage, and it's equally as proud in appearance and unwilling to show any weakness. The strangeness took Bai Yen by surprise. Does the master of this valley have a vendetta against foxes or something? I wonder if the person would die of anger if they learn a fox's wife took their alchemy book away. Their expression would be quite funny to see. Drawing a smirk, Bai Yen said nothing and moved to cut off the legs of the fox model. Then summoning up her alchemy flame, she melted the hard plaster and then added a plant she pulled from the storage bag to the mix, thus creating a sticky substance for easy molding. Though this woman herself didn't know why, but when she saw how the fox sculpture was being stuck in that groveling position, she would be overwhelmed with discomfort. Sure, Bai Yen knows this was a strange feeling to have. After all, none of this was happening for real, so it's strange to get such urge to do something. Minutes later, clapping her hand, Bai Yen gets up from the ground after having her fun. Although it's not right of me to take your book and then help this fox stand up, but I'm a naturally defensive person. Since my husband and son is a fox, then I will make this one stand as well. Turning around to stare back up at the human sculpture, her eyes are stern and hard. I do not know what the demon realm did to you in the past, but don't go throwing your grudge around to others. They are not involved. If you want to stick the issue to someone, then find the culprit. Naturally, Bai Yen knew her words wouldn't be heard by an inanimate object, but she couldn't help it. For some reason, she had this inkling notion that her heart would continue to be depressed otherwise if she didn't say it aloud. Afterwards, she did not hesitate and slowly headed for the exit. However, upon the second her feet took a step outside, the back immediately came out with a loud explosive bang, and the statues here all crumbled to dust, allowing the particulates to scatter across the floor. What's going on here? She mutters this with great surprise, unsure how to take this as some sort of bad omen or just her mind overthinking this. Another miracle. 7. Shaking her head, she attempts to shirk off the negative feeling and turned away. Once outside of the gate, though, Bai Yen suddenly found herself in the midst of darkness again. The white glow was gone, nowhere to be found in this underground world. Can it be? It's related to those model sculptures? Mother! A childish voice abruptly cuts in from the front, causing the woman to turn over to see the boy and girl quickly running over with hand in hand. This scared the daylights out of Bai Yen because there's still a giant chasm between herself and the kids. Just as she wanted to shout to make them stop, the ground began to rumble and stopped her mid-cry. Next thing they all knew were the rocks and boulders floating up into the air, making the picture similar to that of an apocalypse. Dragoni didn't expect this and nearly fell over from the tremble. Fortunately, the little steam bun was beside her and helped support that body in time. Now the rocks are acting like a barrier, forcing the woman and her kids apart, with the ravine acting as a line. Shachin, Dragoni! Don't come here! Bai Yen finally managed to throw out the sentence with sweat covering her forehead. Anxious in the voice. This ravine cannot be passed, so stay on your side of the cliff. The boy just stared at the poor woman, who's very much flustered on the face. Whatever happiness he felt earlier has been crushed, knowing he couldn't reach his important woman. What should we do then, mother? Don't rush, I will find a way. Furrowing up her brow, Bai Yen understands full well the difficulty of getting through the ravine. What am I supposed to do now? I can't use the same method to get back over at this rate. Boom! The ground shook again, this time more violent than the last. Unlike the previous tremor, the earth under her feet has started to sink in as well. Catching a branch of a tree that hasn't fallen yet, she hurriedly cried out to the kids. Xiachen, Dragoni. No matter what happens later, you two mustn't separate. Understand? Bai Xiachen nodded with tears in his eyes. Don't worry, mother. I will protect Dragoni from any harm. Turning to the old goat and snake now, Bai Yan gives out her next order. You two, protect my kids no matter what. If you do until I return, then I will grant freedom to the both of you. Freedom, something absolutely precious to these two ancient demons at this moment. If she is speaking the truth, then we will be able to roam this world again. With the cliff as the boundary point, the two land masses split further and further apart. From what was originally only the length of a giant sword, it has grown distant until Bai Yan could barely make out the contour of her children. Mother! The little steam bun screamed out in pain, wanting to grasp onto the outreached hand. You let me go. I'm going to find my mother. He struggles to break free from the hands pulling him back. Another miracle, 8. Let go of you? Dragon Flame sneered at the boy using his smirk. If I let you go now, then how am I supposed to break the contract with her if you're in danger? Actually, he could also forcibly shatter the bond between himself and Bai Yan if he grows strong enough. But such forceful measures required strength and time, something he doesn't want to wait for. It's easier to simply have the woman do it of her own free will. After hearing that comment, the boy stopped struggling and turned back to stare at the old goat. As a result of this, Dragony Flame found himself creeped out by the kid's gaze, especially that single red eye of his. Gulping insecurely, "What are you trying to do? I warn you, you're not my opponent. If we start fighting, then you're not going to get off easy." The boy's expression remains icy cold during that threat, totally different from his innocent and cute appearance. My mother said you're proof that she is alive, right? Slowly but surely, the old goat nodded. Yes, she did say that. Fine, you're not allowed to leave my side at all from now on. I want to know at all times if she is safe or not. There's no warmth in that statement, only cold, threatening indifference in the boy's voice. Turning back to the little missy, he speaks with a warmer note. Dragony, let's go. I believe mother will be all right even if we're not by her side. The girl nodded. I know that, Gidge. I know mother will be just fine even without us. Stirring up a smile at the support, the boy's lip curves into a thin arc over the agreement. Right this moment, the party could clearly feel the ground beneath their feet lifting up into the air as their conversation dragged out. Faster and faster, the dark forest of the underground valley disappeared behind them until they moved at incredible speed. Then pop. They felt it, the light shining above their heads and the open landscape of the world coming into view. Ha ha ha! Dragon Flame was the first to cry out with glee in his voice. Watching the open blue sky, this old goat became ecstatic in his demeanor. I'm finally free of that wretched place. What beautiful sky! What beautiful clouds! I, Dragon God, am finally free. No, wait. Shaking his goat head. I am not yet free. I still need to have that woman break the contract with me. But that day won't be too long. Half Ching Sing was also staring up into the sky, but unlike the old goat's happy elation, her eyes were more of curiosity. Oomph! Making a dry cough, Dragon Flame turns back to the snake and asked after noticing the oddity. Oh yeah, I haven't asked yet. How did you wind up down there in the first place? Musing for a while, Half Ching Sing decides to give the truth since she saw no harm in it. I don't know, from what I can remember I have always been there in the first place. This world here though, I think this is my first time seeing all of this. Don't think. The old goat captured that word like a bee to the honey. Seen or not seen, which is it? Don't go spouting such vague answers. The snake didn't want to argue with the old goat on the subject and huffs a grunt. What else do you want from me? I can't remember a lot of things aside from the time I spent in that underground world, so deal with it. Couldn't be helped. These old mates have had a long-standing grudge. If not for Bai Yan's intervention, then they would have already gone at each other's throat after that exchange of verbal abuse. While the pair bickers away to one side, Bai Xiachen remains silent on where he stood, only staring off like he's in some sort of pain due to loneliness. Familiarity, 1. Let's go. After a long time, Bai Xiachen finally spoke, his eyes determined in light of the sad emotions underneath. As long as these two demons are around, then I will know if mother is fine. I will find her, I will. Also, calmly shifting his sight onto the old goat. You looking like that is too noticeable. Better take on a human form to act less conspicuous. Oh, right. Puckering his lip to one side like an unhappy child himself, the old goat's shape gradually melted under a pale light until he's taken on the look of a human man wearing a yellow robe. Though his new form had white hair, that face carried no wrinkles. Heck, it's rather handsome even if one may say. But the old aged voice he used was evident enough of his seniority. Done with that, the little steam bun held onto Dragoni's hand again and slowly proceeded to leave this valley. While the kids were moving on their end, another scene similar to theirs were currently taking place at a towering mountain in different location. With a loud rumbling boom, Bai Yen got shot out of the ground like a rocket, causing her to make an unsteady landing. This time you will not escape the Celestial Palace. Celestial Palace? This was the first thing she heard after collecting herself, and it made Bai Yen frown. Without delay, she immediately headed for the source, perhaps out of curiosity or the fact that the other side belonged to the enemy. What she saw next was something similar to what she expected in cases like these. Currently, there's a group of pursuers chasing some unknown lady, specifically a woman wearing a long blue dress that's staring down at the group from the air. So what if you're from the Celestial Palace? Do you fools think you can catch me with so few here? Boom! In that instant, the lady wearing the long blue dress attacked. She moved like the wind, rushing at the nearest foe with her fist and make a direct punch into the man's stomach. When she did so, the poor guy promptly fell backwards and flew several meters into the air until he rolled onto the floor again, blood out from the mouth as the consequence. The other companions saw this and stopped hesitating since the battle has begun. Drawing their blades, they rushed for the woman in question. It's just that unlike someone being cornered here, the lady remained fearless on the face like someone that couldn't be threatened. Boom! Sure enough, the full might of her powers was released in that second and poured out like a tidal wave. It's huge, causing even the sky to change color until it's a gloomy gray. For the poor fools trying to attack the lady, they naturally didn't stand a chance here. Like the trees and shrubs that were blown away by the shockwave of her powerful release, their bodies were swept away and smashed into the nearby rocks, either shattering their bones or downright crushing them as the end result. Not far away, while hiding behind a well-hidden tree, Bai Yen stared on in astonishment over the lady's familiar face. It's etched into her mind right now and causing the woman herself to thump with increased vigor in the heart over that contour. No, don't go. Finding the other side's about to leave after the brief exchange of combat, Bai Yen cries out involuntarily and wanted to stop her. Sadly, the lady in blue was already gone in the next, disappearing with a blink of an eye. Familiarity, too. Is that her? But besides her, who else can look so similar? Somewhat pale in her complexion, Bai Yen stood there for a long while before revealing a bittersweet smile. Whether it's her or not, I must find her again. As long as she's still in this celestial realm, then we are bound to meet again. That's right, we both have a vendetta against the Celestial Palace. The chance is there. Hidden between mountains and forests, a quaint-looking cottage has been built atop of the clearing here. It's a nice setup, difficult to find due to the covering terrain and shielding barrier, a perfect hiding spot from those who's out to get you. This was the place the lady in blue arrived at after departing from the battle. Flicking her dress to remove the dust from the surface, she slowly walked towards the cottage with familiar strides, where she was promptly welcomed by a young girl around 17 to 18 years of age. Auntie Ning, you're finally back. Did those old fossils from the Celestial Palace make trouble for you? Drawing a soft smile at the lively young lass. Don't worry. Those people aren't my opponent. Oh yes, don't tell your father I'm back yet. Oh! Responding with a well-behaved voice, the young girl intimately hooks her arm around Bai Ning's to confirm compliance. Auntie Ning, my father loves you very much, and I like you very much. Why don't you want to marry my father? A quiver shook the lady's body, causing her to form a slight frown on that beautiful yet helpless face. Some things can't be forced, and you are not young anymore. If you are so free to fret about us, why don't you fret about your own marriage arrangements? I'm sure he will like to get a son-in-law any day now. Blushing at being called out, the young girl shyly lowers her head. What are you saying, Auntie Ning? I don't want to marry. I only want to stay with you and father for the rest of my life. Bai Ning smiled at that, dropping the subject when she noticed the man that's coming out of the cottage. This person was quite handsome, wearing a brownish robe with an air of calm. I have something to discuss with your Auntie Ning. You go back inside first. Okay. Ning Yu mischievously stuck out her tongue when letting go of the lady's arm, but that's not before making a hand gesture to her old man as support before leaving. For a while the atmosphere in the front yard seemed solemn and strange until the woman herself decides to break the awkward silence. Brother Yuan, is something the matter? Ning Yuan deeply locks eye with the woman, his voice hoarse and full of emotion when speaking. Ninger, we have known each other for so many years. You should understand. Why must you be so reluctant to accept me? Taken aback by the open confession, Bai Ning had to take a moment to respond with a proper answer that won't hurt the other side. I always feel like I'm forgetting something. It's as if someone is waiting for me, like I lost something important. I'm sorry, Brother Yuan. I know you care about me, but I can't accept you the way I am now. After saying that, she brushes past the man in order to leave. However, a big hand immediately reached over from behind to cling onto hers. Getting cold in the face now. Let go! Because this tone has never been used before. Ning Yuan promptly released his grip with rigid surprise. Familiarity 3. Ninger, I don't mean anything else, but you loves you. She wants to be your daughter. That's why I'm so anxious. If what I did offended you, then I apologize. Still having her back facing the man, Bai Ning eventually responded, Brother Yuan, I am grateful that you saved me several times in the past, but feelings are something we can't force. If you still consider me as a sister, then I will welcome the thought, but if you have other intents in mind, then I'm sorry, but I won't be returning again in the future. Ning Yuan went stiff as a rock over that statement. He never thought this woman, who's always been soft-voiced and kindly behaved, would be so harsh and stern when discussing the topic. As for Yuer, Bai Ning's voice softens up over the petite lass. I also like the girl very much. Pity I can't take her as my daughter. That includes being a goddaughter as well. Why? The man's frown deepens further. He could understand why Bai Ning wouldn't want to take his own daughter as her own. After all, she's making it clear she doesn't love him. But why not a goddaughter? Drawing a frank smile on her face. I don't know why either. I just don't feel comfortable about the idea of taking another child as my own daughter. It's as if the position has long been occupied by another. Brother Yuan, I will treat Yuer as my own niece, so forgive me for not being able to do more. The man was lost for words there, staring blankly at the disappearing back of the woman. Ning Yuan had the color drain from his face after those words. Why? I spent so many years by her side. Accompanied her for so many years. Why can't I melt her heart? Papa. The call draws the man back to attention. Turning around, the man glances down at the petite girl, his voice stiff and unsure. Did you hear all of it? Ning Yu nodded, that face pouting unhappily. Papa, do you think Auntie Ning has another daughter? That's why she won't take me as hers? The man remained silent, only looking down in a contemplative manner that left the girl wondering. Perhaps. Eventually he threw out this word after getting nowhere with his thoughts. Pa. The petite girl snorts, her voice full of displeasure. My mother died as soon as I was born, so Auntie Ning's the first woman I've known. Let's assume she does have a family prior to meeting us. Have they ever searched for her through all these years? It's us. We're the ones always by her side. And her daughter, the girl, never showed an ounce of filial duty. Nor did the girl allow Auntie Ning to enjoy the pleasure of raising a child. Now I'm supposed to just slide to one side and let such a person occupy an important position in Auntie Ning's heart? The more she spoke, the angrier the petite girl became. Why is there someone else coming to steal Auntie Ning's heart? We deserve it more. We are the ones who always stood by her side. Ning Yuan's complexion went pale over his daughter's outrage and snapped, You mustn't say such words. Why can't I? Fighting back with her own voice. I am not wrong. I'm only feeling pained for Auntie Ning. Pa, why do you think she lost her memories? I bet it's because Auntie Ning's husband is the cheating type, abandoning her for a newer and younger woman. As for the daughter, I bet she's the same. Otherwise, why else would Auntie Ning become like this? Perhaps it's due to how excited she became over her own theory. The girl ends up completely missing the enraged face of her old man. Familiarity 4. Getting all pitiful in the face now, the petite girl pleads by grabbing onto her father's sleeve. Pa, I really like Auntie Ning. Can you marry her, please? Despite being greatly annoyed by the girl's remarks earlier, he couldn't stay angry here in this case. After all, he too felt the same way inside. You know your Auntie Ning's attitude towards me. She only treats me as a brother and respects me as such. Now that I've confessed, her attitude has turned damp and cold. However, flickering with a thoughtful idea in his eyes, she may not want to recognize you as her own daughter, but that doesn't change her impression of you. All you have to do is give more persuasion, the more the better, that way we will still have a chance of changing her mind. The girl grinned at that, revealing the 2 front teeth in that smile due to glee. Okay, Pa, you can count on me to win her over. I must become Auntie Ning's daughter, and I will bring her out of her biological daughter's shadow. The girl doesn't care if her own story was true or not. She's decided on the issue and would do everything in her ability to do just that. A humph. Ning Yuan coughed slightly so his daughter wouldn't step out of line. Remember to not say those words in front of your Auntie Ning. Otherwise it will create a situation neither of us would want to see. Understand? There's no illusion in this man's mind that Bai Ning could completely cut them off from her life if she overhears their conversation. All he did was confess right now and he already got the cold shoulder treatment. What's more, perhaps the kind treatment the woman showed to his own daughter was only a side effect of the woman yearning to meet her own children again. Testing that theory was not in his best interest. Pa, you need to stop fretting. I know what I can and can't say. Drawing a lovely smile on her face. And, I have always been very good in front of her. Otherwise, why else would Auntie Ning like me so much? The man's unease finally lightened up as well, patting his daughter's shoulder. Then your pa's future will depend on you. Back inside the cottage, the faintly blowing breeze brings warmth and freshness into the room where a lady now lies sitting on the chair. She's not moving, only staring down and gently stroking the baby belly cover in her hands. Over the years, Bai Ning has never stopped searching for her own identity and background. Sadly, aside from her own name, she knew nothing else. The only exception was this baby underwear she had with herself after losing those precious memories. Why can't I remember anything? She frowned, desperately searching through the fragmented pieces of images that would occasionally surface in her mind. But like usual, a heavy pang of pain hit her mind like a hammer, causing the woman to crumble to the floor with those hands shaking and wrapping around her own head. It's extremely painful to the point of losing the motor controls of her own body. Auntie Ning, what's wrong? The petite girl exclaims after catching sight of what's happening. She had wanted to come speak to the woman after leaving her father outside. Familiarity 5. The girl urgently grasped onto the trembling woman's shoulder as those tears slowly trickled down the cheeks. Thankfully, the situation wasn't as bad as it seems because she soon got a reaction from all that crying. Still blurry in her eyes as she slowly opened them, Bai Ning could only make out the blurry outline of the person beckoning to herself. Daughter, is that you? Ning Yu's posture went stiff over that question. She knows the daughter mentioned here wasn't herself, so it could only be that one. Grasping onto her own head again in pain, the woman murmurs out some incoherent words. Daughter, I remember I have a daughter. She is, I can't remember the name. Now this didn't sit well with the petite girl at all and made her extremely sour inside. She's not willing to accept some random person whom they never could be so important. It's just not fair in her eyes. Auntie Ning, I can also be your daughter. I will take care of you for the rest of my life. Ning Yu's voice was crisp and pleasant, but what she said there caused the pained lady to come back to her senses. Gradually loosening her hand around the head, the blurriness left those eyes, and what came into view was the reflected image of the anxious young girl staring downwards. It's you, I'm sorry. I've lost my manners there. Auntie Ning. Ningyu clenched her teeth with insecure-filled eyes. Just now? Did you remember something? Shaking her head with a bittersweet smile, the lady explains. No, my past is still a blank to me. I can't remember anything notable. Sure enough, the negative answer brought on a wave of relief to the girl. Thank goodness she can't remember. Even if I can't become Auntie Ning's daughter, I can still accompany her in the future. It's fine if you can't remember the past, Auntie Ning. I will always accompany you. Innocent but firm in the face, the petite girl meant what she said there. Naturally, this idea didn't escape the lady herself, who knew exactly what the girl wanted. Sadly, she too knew such a wish couldn't be granted from her end. And for that, she's sorry. I want to go take a walk outside, so don't inform your father of my leaving. I don't wish to see him for the time being. Making a long exhale, she stood up and was ready to leave when her arm got hooked by the girl's. Wait, Auntie Ning, I'll go with you. It's been a while since I went outside because Pa wouldn't let me go out alone, but I'm sure he will be fine with it if I go with you. In the end, Bai Ning accepted the idea out of guilt. She couldn't bear to reject the girl right now. Fine then, follow me. Jumping with joy. Auntie Ning, I knew you are the kindest to me. You? Pinching the girl's nose with her fingers, Bai Ning draws a doting smile like in the past after flattered. Normally this would be a good thing. However, in this case, Ning, you couldn't help but feel like the lady's looking through her and to someone else entirely. It's making her very much uncomfortable inside. No matter, I will kick that girl out of her heart and take over soon enough. The girl inwardly vows, not willing to surrender the position to anyone. Back in the outside world, most of the denizens of the celestial realm are in a tense and frightened state due to the constant attacks by the demon realm. Familiarity 6. Bai Ning would have liked to take Ningyu out to spread some of the stuffiness pent up inside her herself. Sadly, any of that desire was dissipated once she got a good look at the local township. It's depressing and lifeless on the streets. A real disappointment due to all the fear-mongering surrounding the recent invasion. Celestial realm, sooner or later this place will perish, and I will be anticipated that day when it comes. Mother! Suddenly, a dainty young girl rushes over from out of the blue and threw herself into Bai Ning's arm. This girl was soft and lovely in appearance, giving off a faint fragrance to the nose. Adding in the 2 braids hanging down the side of her face, she's absolutely adorable. But before the lady herself could speak, another voice had cut in from the side. It's childish as well, but carried a sense of calm rarely found in someone that young. Dummy, how can you recognize the wrong person? This is not Mother. At the pointer, the little girl lets go of her hug and looks up, drawing a frown. I'm sorry, I mistook you for my mother because you look so much alike. Alike? Bowing down to eye level, Bai Ning didn't mind and found the encounter to be refreshing. It's all right. It's normal to make mistakes on occasion. Say, am I really that much like your mother? It's then the little boy came out from behind. Just like the girl, this young boy was also quite the eye-catcher. But the air he had was less innocent and more pronounced. This mainly had to do with that single red eye. It's a huge contrast to the rest of his appearance. This would honestly be the first time Bai Ning ever came across such a strange child. Nevertheless, she still wanted to get closer to the boy for some unknown reasons. Aha! You are very similar to our mother. The only difference is that she's younger and more beautiful. Our mother is the #1 beauty in this world, you know. As soon as the little steam bun started to talk about his mother, his face would get all excited and full of pride. Normally a female would be quite upset at being called old. But in this case Bai Ning didn't and got interested instead. Then where's your mother? If fate would allow it, I would like to meet her. Sadly, that was the wrong thing to say in this case. Immediately, Dragoni's tears started to trickle down at the sore topic. Oh, we're separated from mother. Pretty granny? Did you see our mother? Pretty granny? I guess it does fit my age. I'm sorry, but I haven't. However, since you're saying I'm very much like your mother, then of course I will keep an eye out for her. Oh right, you two still haven't told me your names yet. Casting a look at the woman whom held such similarity to his own mother, Bai Shachen figured nothing bad could come of it even if he did. My name is Bai Shachen, and she is Dragoni. The two behind us is Dragon Flame and Half Ching Sing. They're our bodyguards. That introduction actually made the old goat gawk his jaws down. When did I, the great dragon god, become a little bodyguard for this little guy? But, upon remembering the impending freedom that's going to come his way afterwards, he endured the discontent and held it in. Oh whatever, it's just this one time. Just a title, I will have it changed in no time. Your name is Bai Shachen? What a coincidence, my surname is also Bai. My full name is Bai Ning. The lady introduces herself as well. Bai Ning? A tremor shook the boy's heart, causing his eyes to widen in surprise. Familiarity, 7. Bai Ning? Your name is Bai Ning? Bai Shachen hurriedly gripped onto the lady's sleeve, his voice shaking with disbelief and excitement. Then do you know a man by the name of Yun Feng? Yun Feng. She frowned and pondered the name for a second, feeling a sense of familiarity that's just out of her reach. I'm sorry, I don't know anyone by that name. Don't know? She doesn't know grandfather? The boy tightly bit down on his own lips at the notion. If the name is just a coincidence, then why does she look so much like mother? Reluctant to give up, he insists on the question. Please think harder. Are you sure you don't know someone by then name Yun Feng? Should I be knowing him? Bai Ning asked curiously. That was the nail in the coffin for the kid. That countering question hurts and made him let go. Gidge, big brother. Dragoni tugs at the little steambun's hand after seeing where this was going. Can it be? Ignoring the girl's murmur, Bai Shachen grew firm in the face since things are at this stage. He got a great idea and was determined to make it work. Forgive us. I thought you might be our long-lost grandmother because of your name and similar appearance. It seems I made a mistake. Looking at the little guy's pathetic expression, Bai Ning's heart couldn't get angry here and softens up. Little boy, I'm sure you will find your mother and grandmother in due time. Don't worry. But, hanging his little head, the boy deliberately changes his voice to that of grievance to earn more pity points. I only got Dragoni by my side, and there are so many bad people always trying to hurt us. These two bodyguards are absolutely unreliable. One could literally see the twitch in Dragoni Flame and Half Ching Sing's face when he said that. Unreliable? He's sure he's talking about us? Due to the two old demons hiding their strength along the way, no one would suspect they are powerful ancient monsters, nor would they think otherwise on the boy's lie. You mean, someone is trying to harm you? Pricking her brow, Bai Ning almost doubted her own ears because it's really hard to believe someone would want to harm such cute kids. Knowing the bait has been bitten, Bai Shachen hurries to sniffle his nose like he's about to cry. Pretty granny, can you take me and my sister in? We are homeless already. Our father doesn't want us and our mother is missing. If you don't take us, then we will sooner or later die at the hands of those bad people out there. In the boy's view, he didn't lie on that last bit about Deetsong never wanting him, only his mother. In fact, he's got this idea that he's some sort of orphan picked up from the streets due to his old man's unfriendly nature. Ready to melt from the sad story, Bai Ning didn't need to think at all and accepted the kids, rubbing the boy on the head. All right, you two will come with me from now on. Don't worry, I won't let anyone hurt you or your sister from now on. Elated at his own success, the little sneaky fox almost couldn't hold back his own mischievous grin in that moment. Thankfully, he's got plenty of practice in the past and kept it down, otherwise he would be caught right then and there. Thank you, pretty granny. Both kids happily said that. You too. Your tongues are too sweet. Oh right, Shachen, what happened to one of your eyes? The condition of that red eye has been bothering this lady for a while already, so she got right to it. Now the tears finally started to trickle down the boy's face. However, only the regular blue one was crying, the red one remaining dry as ever. My eye was poisoned. Rubbing his red one like some bullied child. Those bad people wanted to hurt me, but now that I got pretty granny protecting me, I won't have to be afraid of those people anymore. Familiarity, 8. The boy's words brought warmth to the lady's heart because this feeling of being needed hasn't been felt in her for a long time. Sweetie, come with me. I'll bring you and your sister somewhere to rest. From now on, no one can hurt either of you anymore with me around. Her promise sounded like it was meant for the kids to hear, but in truth, it's also meant for herself as a vow in this case. Back in the corridor of the inn, Ning Yu has been staring back and forth for signs of her Auntie Ning ever since the woman left for a stroll. That face showed she's very anxious and didn't like being left alone. Fortunately for her though, this girl didn't need to wait long and soon caught a glimpse of the long-awaited figure. Racing over and ready to cry out, Ning Yu was happy in that split second. That was until she noticed the others tagging along with the lady, specifically the two kids that's making the woman giggle with laughter. This made her unhappy, very unhappy indeed, because those fists had crunched up into a ball at this point. Nevertheless, she gathered herself after inhaling deeply to confront the situation. Auntie Ning, you're back. These two fellas are. She asks with a forced smile. Oh, they're both someone I met outside during my stroll. The boy's name is Bai Xiachen and the girl is Dragoni. I saw that they are homeless and decided to take them in. What the lady didn't tell was the little guy would make her excruciatingly happy. Merely a single phrase would be enough to make her giggle with laughter, just like the beginning scene when she entered Ning Yu's gaze. Hello little boy, little girl. My name is Ning Yu. I'm happy to meet the both of you. The boy blinks and blinks, responding with a question instead. Auntie, what is your relationship with Pretty Granny? Having a kid call her a title far beyond her own age was, well, damning for the girl herself. Going stiff in the face like a cracked template, it's difficult for Ning Yu to hold back the temper from her expression. You should call me sister. But, getting all teary, Bai Xiachen really baked in the sad face. If you're calling her auntie and we're calling her Pretty Granny, wouldn't it be wrong to call you sister? Bai Ning couldn't bear to let this continue after seeing the boy's somewhat distraught face. Using a gentle voice to correct the girl. He is still a child, so you shouldn't get hung on some title or name. Besides, he didn't address you wrong considering all things. He's a child I took in as a grandson earlier, so he's right to call you auntie. Ning Yu's body froze in that moment. She had tried for so many years in order to become Bai Ning's daughter. Yet some unknown wild boy and girl could do so without her knowledge and in such short timing? Ridiculous. Unfair. Auntie Ning, pressing down her anger. Ning Yu knew she had to say something to keep up her own image. I'm sorry, I am wrong. I shouldn't have been angry with a child. It's just, Auntie Ning is still so young. I only felt it's bad to call you a grandmother. Chuckling at the flattery, the lady almost found it amusing to be called young. I'm well over 40 at this point, which part of me is still young. If I had a daughter, then her children would be almost as big too. Therefore, it's right of them to call me a granny. Besides, I really like this little guy, so it's fine. Pursing her lips until blood almost faded from that skin, Ning Yu really wanted to scream out in frustration. Thankfully for herself, she had better reasoning than to argue the issue right now. There's always another chance at another place. She's not going to let this go. Ning Yu's jealousy won. Xiachen, Dragoni. I'll arrange a place for you later. As for your bodyguards. Bai Ning glanced at the two following behind him. I'll put them in the room next to you. How about that? A firework of smiles promptly bloomed across the boy's face. Thank you, Pretty Granny. I really like you, and now I won't have to worry about those bad people coming to make trouble. You little? Bai Ning couldn't resist giving the kid a ruffle on the head to emphasize her affection. Don't worry. No one will be able to hurt you anymore. After she hummed this sentence, the lady then turns back to petite girl behind herself. Soft in her tone. I've taken him in as a grandson from now on. As his aunt, you must also help care for him. Don't be so fierce. Okay? Ning Yu didn't know why, but she's been dreadfully disliking this boy since the second she set eyes upon him. Especially that dazzling smile. Even so, she kept her tongue in place knowing better. Auntie Ning, I will take good care of little Xiachen. I also won't get angry so casually anymore. But it's as if the baby fox had a grudge against the petite girl or something. The moment she said that was when the boy followed up with a remark that left her steaming. Auntie, I'm hungry. Can you get me some food? This damn boy. How dare he call me Annie still? Does he really think I can't do anything to him because he has Auntie Ning backing him? Just when Ning Yu was stuffed full of unbalanced emotions, Bai Ning's soft, gentle voice cuts in again. Go prepare some food for them. These two have suffered enough while searching for their mother. It breaks my heart seeing how thin they are. Going from green to white, then back from white to green, the petite girl almost couldn't hold back her anger and lashed out. Okay, I'll go get things ready, she grudgingly replied, not wanting to let her Auntie Ning notice her flaming hate of the kid. Ning Yu almost bolted out of there in order to find a waiter in this inn. However, the devious and mischievous boy in question was apparently not done with his dig at the girl. Auntie, I want to eat the osmanthus cake on the other side of street. Can you go buy some for me? When I passed the stall earlier, the smell was amazing. The taunt had the added effect of making the girl clench up that hand into a ball, afraid to even turn around to show her menacingly dark face. Ningyu spoke with forced kindness. No worries. I'll be right back with your osmanthus cake. Having said this, she ran for it in order to avoid being called again. Even a saint has their limits and she has reached hers. Pleased with what he has done, Bai Shachen quickly removed the mean look in his eyes after the figure disappeared from view. Instead, he donned a lovely smile when speaking to Bai Ning. Pretty granny, it's getting late now, so I'll take my sister to rest first. You should too. Oblivious to the jab the boy had done, Bai Ning continues to showing a happy face due to her mood. Okay, you two rest for now. I'll come call you when dinner is ready later. After that promise, the lady then went ahead to prepare the rooms needed for the kids and their followers. Only then did she return to her own room after setting everything in place. Ningyu's jealousy, too. Inside of the room, Dragoni sat next to her brother with eyes blinking in wonderment. Gidge, is that Bai Ning? Really our grandmother? Is there a chance that it's just the same name? Bai Shachen shook his head, denying the theory. I do not believe there is such coincidence in this world. Perhaps something happened and made her lose her memory? Dragoni, we must follow her around until Mother arrives. The reason why the little steambun was so sure Bai Yen would come searching for them was the contract inside of the old goat and snake. The familiars themselves may not be able to sense their mistress's location, but Bai Yen most certainly could through the bond. Okay, if that's what you want, Gidge. Drawing a sweet smile, the little missy's compliance was as strong as ever. Pong! Suddenly, the door to their room was knocked open, drawing their attention to Ningyu, who barged in on them from the outside. The girl was fierce and aggressive, slamming the box in hand in front of the boy. Here's your stupid cake. So fast? Said Bai Shachen with raised eyebrow. It couldn't be something you got from the kitchen and not the next street over, right? Despite the increasingly dark gloom hovering above her face, Ningyu kept her voice low in order to avoid rousing Bai Ning to their conversation. Why are you getting so picky and choosy for? You're nothing but a little beggar that Auntie Ning took in out of kindness. Know your place. Bai Shachen's expression promptly turned somber as he stared down at the smashed box in front of himself. Not only was that remark from the girl an absolute insult, the food was as well in open form. What relationship do you have with Pretty Granny? He asks with heavier tone, snorting derisively. I am her niece right now, of course, that's only temporary. In the future I will be her daughter instead. What do you mean by that? You still don't understand? Auntie Ning is going to marry my father. Of course she will become my mother afterwards. So, you better stay away from my future mother, you little beggar. The boy could barely hold in the flare of rage brewing from within. You say Pretty Granny is going to marry your father? Humph, why do I highly doubt that claim? If she really was willing to marry your father, then you wouldn't be calling her auntie still after being together for so long. Although Bai Ning claims that she doesn't know Yun Feng, husband of the Misty Fairy House, it doesn't matter. The little steambun had a strong intuition she's the one, the long-lost grandmother that they've been searching for. Grandfather is still waiting for her at home. She cannot marry someone else. Also, I won't let anyone coming around to destroy Mother's happiness. The issue is just a matter of time. Regardless, you little beggars better stay away from my Auntie Ning. Otherwise the pain will be yours to bear. The girl huffs, swinging herself around to leave only to be alarmed by the table being flipped over by the boy behind herself. Standing there in stunned rigidness, Ningyu awkwardly turned around again, surprised by what the kid's doing. She simply didn't have a clue as to what the boy was planning. This also applied to the two bodyguards next door who overheard the commotion and rushed over. Ningyu's jealousy. 3. Even though the old goat and snake didn't understand what the boy was trying to pull here, they knew enough than to interrupt the show. Instead, they locked their focus onto Ningyu with a warning glare, saying if you try anything then we would snip you on the spot. What are you doing here? Did you finish buying the cake already? Ningyu was at a loss when this voice cut in from the rear, which made her go pale from not knowing how to react. Biting her lip, she instinctively started to weep in order to win some points. Auntie Ning, I'm sorry. I got lazy and didn't go to the street over for his cake and instead asked the kitchen for some. This likely angered little Xiachen so. Faintly furrowing up her brow, Bai Ning first glanced at the flipped-over table, then at the weeping girl in question. It's obvious what has happened and she's not pleased at all. Even if you don't want to go out and buy the cake then that's fine, you could have said so to me. Why do such deceptive things? What did I teach you since you were little? A person must be trustworthy. That's the basic rule in life. This bashing was not what Ningyu expected. Going stiff and disbelieving in the face. Why is that the main focus? Isn't the main focus supposed to be about the table being flipped? How can Auntie Ning be so biased towards the kid? Xiachen. Bai Ning heaves a long, helpless sigh upon turning to the boy. If you didn't like the cake she bought then you could have asked her to buy it again. Why get so upset? What if you hurt yourself? The boy didn't reply, only flushing red in the eye with tears quickly seeping out. Then, as if determined after deciding on something, he reached over to grab onto Dragoni's hand and made a deep bow with his sister. Pretty Granny, I'm sorry, but we will have to say goodbye now. Alarmed and anxious on her face over that, Bai Ning promptly explained herself. Xiachen, I am not blaming you, so don't get angry. I was only worried about your well-being. If you leave now, then what about those bad people? What if they come find you again? I am not afraid. Me and my sister have come all this way by ourselves. We can keep walking forward if we must. Getting stubborn on his face, the normal blue eye he had was now full crying out. Ningyu to one side could care less about the boy's safety, but she does care a lot about coming out on top of this situation. Sure enough, a touch of gloating pride could be found across this girl's cheeky face. Although Auntie Ning is biased towards this little shit, but as long as I can drive them away then it's all good. At most she will only reprimand me a bit and that's that. Dragoni on the other hand still hasn't quite gotten along with the flow yet, which could be seen on her puzzled face at the moment. Huh? Didn't Gidge say we must follow grandmother around no matter what? Why are we leaving all of a sudden? Just when the little dragoness was bewildered by everything, the boy in question suddenly shot her a signaling glance that struck her like lightning. Instantly, she understood and cried out as well. Gidge, I don't want to go. I'm afraid of being taken away as a child wife by those bad people. I'm scared. Meanwhile, back over at the doorway, Dragon Flame was absolutely flabbergasted by the two kids' ability to put on a show of this caliber. Especially that remark about being a child wife. What a word to use. Don't be afraid, Dragon. I will protect you. Tightly hugging his sister like a stubborn kid that's trying to forcefully put on a mature face. And, even if we encounter greater danger in the future, it's nothing compared to being treated as a beggar. Ooh, but I really like Pretty Granny. While wiping the tears and snots from her face, the little missy suddenly threw herself into Bai Ning's leg to cling onto the lady. Pretty Granny, please don't drive me and Gidge away. We will be good, okay? We are very good. We can help babysit your future baby and never make you angry. Ningyu's jealousy for? Bai Ning didn't expect to hear anything like that from the boy's mouth, so her reaction didn't come right away. What little beggar? What's going on? Babysit? What babysit? Where am I supposed to get a baby? She asks everyone in the room, trying to get some clear answers. Timidly looking up to lock eyes with the lady, Dragoni puckers her lip like she's suffering from some great grievance. Just now this auntie said you are going to marry her father, and that you are going to be her mother soon. She also told us not to pester you. But I'm scared. Pretty granny, can you not drive us away? Like his sister, the little steam bun was also tearing up in the face, just that his appearance was that of a stubborn boy trying hard to hold back his tears. Dragoni, let's go, we will go find mother. Only mother loves us in this world now. Wah! As if prearranged, the little missy throws her face into the boy's arm. Gidge, I miss mother. But there are so many bad people out there. I don't know if we will make it till then. Bai Ning just stared at this scene, not able to process the situation due to how much information there was. However, when she saw the sad and pitiful appearance of the two kids, her chest would become overwhelmed with an inexplicable stuffiness of anger and pain. Turning cold in her eyes, she turns to the instigator of this argument. Ning Yu, when did I say I will marry your father? I have clearly rejected him, and you shouldn't have such thoughts either. Also, these two aren't some sort of beggar I brought back from the outside. You have no right to drive them away from me. The petite girl got pale as she staggered backwards. Auntie Ning, I really didn't. Didn't? You mean that they're lying instead? Disappointment filled the woman's eye when confronting this girl whom she considered a niece for all these years. She watched her grow, from an innocent and lovely child to this deceitful and mean girl. How could Bai Ning not be disappointed? Hell, how could anyone not be disappointed? Unfortunately, Ning Yu apparently didn't get the hint and grasped onto the idea like it's her lifeline. Biting her lip like she's the one suffering. Yes, Auntie Ning, they are lying. You watched me grow up, so you should know me better than anyone. How could I treat these two lovely children in that fashion? If anything, I couldn't wait to cuddle them due to how cute they are. It's already come to this in the girl's mind, so she decided to go ahead and lie all the way. What else could she lose in this case? Now only did Bai Ning feel disappointed. She's also furious at this point, drawing a sarcastic smirk. Ning Yu, you've known me for many years already. Do you think I would be fooled this easily? If you had admitted your mistake then, I would have perhaps forgiven you. But now you are persistently claiming they are lying? Inhaling deeply, the lady wanted to lash out but couldn't. Children of their age are the least likely to lie. Not to mention they have no grudge against you, so why would they frame you? Ning Yu's body trembled more intensely than before. In the end, she had underestimated these two kids. It never occurred to this petite girl that they would be able to win her Auntie Ning over to such extent, even to the point where her argument doesn't stand a chance. Understanding this much, Ning Yu promptly clenched up her fist and plopped to the ground, those tears flowing down like a hot spring. I am wrong, Auntie Ning. I know I am wrong now. I'm sorry, but I got jealous. I was worried. In this world, you were the only one aside from my pa who is around me. I was afraid you would leave me behind. That's why I said you were going to marry my father. I valued you as my mother because I had no other. Now that was the right thing to say here in this case. Sure enough, Bai Ning's heart was moved by that explanation because it's true to some extent. Ning Yu's jealousy. 5. Auntie Ning, desperately clinging onto the woman's hand. Ning Yu pleads with her all. I was blinded by jealousy. That's why I did everything. I was afraid after seeing how nice you were being to these strange children. I know my fault now. Please forgive me? Bai Ning could understand why this girl would behave this way. After all, she did lose her mother as a baby. Putting her desire for a mother on someone else was normal behavior. Nevertheless, that doesn't excuse what Ning Yu has done thus far by lying and doubling down on that lie. That's the sort of behavior she detested, and from someone she knew at that. Inhaling deeply, the lady eventually steeled her heart, because condoning bad behavior would only bring more harm. A lesson must be taught. You've let me down too much today. Go back to your father. I only need Xiachen and Dragoni to keep me company during this period. Ning Yu's panicking now. She knows, if she leaves today then coming back out with her Auntie Ning would be close to impossible anymore. Not only that, she might also completely lose her position in the woman's heart and be replaced by these two little shits. Auntie Ning, I really know my wrong. I beg you, Please let me stay. I can help you look after these two kids while you're not around. Take care of them. Bai Ning evokes a smirk similar to sneer due to how ridiculous that last bit was. You're not going to be satisfied until you completely drive them away to you? No, I'm not. Please believe me. The girl pleads, her hand desperately grasping onto the woman's sleeve and unwilling to let go. The situation looked bad for Ning Yu regardless how one examined it. However, it's then that the little steam bun stepped in with an unexpected defense. Pretty granny. If she wants to stay, then let her. Stunned by the remark, Bai Ning bows down to eye level with the boy. You're not angry anymore? I was never angry, so let her stay, pretty granny. Okay? Flashing a wonderful smile. It's hard to believe there's even a hint of malice in the boy's words. All right, if that's what you wish. Truly, the lady didn't have the will or heart to refuse him, regardless of her own opinion on the matter. Lowering her tone by a notch when speaking to the girl. Since Xiachen is defending you, then I won't insist on you going back anymore. However, if I find out you were to perform the same mistake again like today, then I won't forgive you anymore. Understand? Also, I won't ever meet you or your father again in this lifetime. I promise, Auntie Ning, I promise. Relieved inside, Ning Yu couldn't ask for a better outcome. The only issue was the level of pampering the lady was giving to the little steam bun. It's gnawing at her heart and making it unbearable. Then go back to your room first, the kids still need to rest. Stopping to give the boy a rub on the head, Bai Ning didn't bother to give any more attention to the girl behind herself. Now Xiachen, tell me who those bad people are. I will help you get revenge on them so they can't ever come make trouble. Nodding with bright twinkling eyes, a brilliant smile comes out of the boy's face. Pretty granny, if only you are my real granny, then that would be great. Giving a faint chuckle at the boy's comment. You silly? Isn't it the same if you just call me pretty granny? Same? Of course not. Bai Xiachen inwardly protests, knowing full well that won't do. What if Grandpa Yun Feng finds out? He will definitely be unhappy if I'm speaking to Granny Ning like some outsider. Oblivious to what the kid was thinking inside, Bai Ning instead turned back to the girl who was still lingering at the door. Frosty in her voice. You're still not going back to your room? Pained and suffering inside at the harsh tone, Ning Yu felt indignant right now. Not uttering a word, she fled the room for her own without looking back. Very soon, everyone has gone, leaving only the two kids inside the room with the door closed. Gidge, why did you ask her to stay? Losing the weeping picture from her face, Dragoni returns to her curious self from before with a hint of confusion mixed in there. Ning Yu's jealousy, 6. Dummy! Bai Xiachen knocks the girl on the head out of frustration. Granny helped raise the girl for many years. There's no way they would have no attachment to each other. If we drive her away, then the girl and her father would definitely become an issue in the future. I'm not going to risk having someone steal our grandmother away somewhere down the line. Grandmother belongs to grandfather. As their grandchild, I have a duty to keep them together. Still doubtful in the way she blinks her eyes, Dragoni apparently didn't get it yet. So, the boy cunningly smirks. In order to avoid having this danger lurking around in the long run, we can snub the bud in its early stages. See Dragoni, keeping her around will allow us to do just that. Eliminate her place in Granny's heart. Blinking like stars in the sky, the little Missy finally got it. Gidge is so clever, you are the smartest. Of course, I'm my mother's son and not like those stupid people out there. Pride filled the kid's face when he announced this, leaving no room for argument about the matter. Dragoni, you need to smarten up too. Next time you need to be more cooperate when I start acting, otherwise they might catch on like today. This time he managed to take advantage of his grandmother's love for him to gain the upper hand, but that's not going to always work. Furthermore, he felt guilty about playing his own family. That's not his style. After a long while, Dragoni eventually manages to mutter out her own opinion. Gidge, if your father the king hears about your behavior, then he's going to be very sad and angry. The little Missy was fully aware of how little Bai Xiachen did to help his old man pursue his own mother. So, considering the huge difference in treatment, it's no wonder she would think that way. That's not exactly the same. The boy puckers his lip. Grandfather is someone dear to mother, and grandmother is also someone dear to mother. That's why I would do this. In other words, the reason he wouldn't help Ditsong was because Bai Yen didn't relatively care for the man back then. Remember, Dragoni, you are part of my family now. If there's any fault, then it's always going to be Batty Father's fault, never mother's. The kid sternly and seriously states this. Nodding cluelessly as usual, Dragoni didn't object to the idea. Does that mean the king is second in importance? No, the second place is obviously our little sister who hasn't been born yet. As for Batty Father, you can put him in third place. Now it was the little missy's turn to be discontented. Puckering her lip to one side. No way. Gidge is third. I like Gidge more. Thankfully, Ditsong himself wasn't around to listen to their discussion. Otherwise, he would be so extremely angry right now due to being placed in last place of this family. Now that's good. Patting the little missy like a good adult, Bai Shachen compliments her before turning to his two bodyguards who's still waiting to one side. Ningyu's jealousy, 7. Did you hear? If either of you sense my mother's presence, then come inform us right away. Commanding and forceful. There's not an ounce of naivety in the boy's voice. Dragon flame twitched in the corner of his mouth over that order. Seriously, did he even need to be ordered for that? If that woman were anywhere close and he found out, he would run off to her in an instant. Both of you go down then. Bai Shachen cocks a brow before turning back to Dragoni with a blossoming smile. You rest also, mother will come find us soon. Giving one final nod, the little missy didn't doubt the boy's words, only trusting and believing his every statement. Back over at Ning Yu's side, the outraged girl had just returned to her own room inside the inn. She's full of anger, right, and wanted to smash something to vent the frustration. However, right as she's about to break the nearest teacup on the table, she stopped halfway out of fear for disturbing Bai Ning. Blasted kid. How dare you set me up? She viciously mutters this to no one in specific. No matter. Since you're the one trying to steal my Auntie Ning, then it's you who's going to die. Nothing but a child, regardless of how cunning he is. He can't possibly pose a threat to me with his weak strength. I will find a time where Auntie Ning is not looking and finish him. But before she could figure out her next course of action, the door to her room was suddenly pushed open and in came a familiar figure. Auntie Ning, how come you're here? She hurriedly asks after being startled by the entry. Bai Ning didn't reply to the question, only showing a frown due to the strange atmosphere in the room. In the end, it was the lady herself who breaks the silence with a sigh. I have always thought of you as a good child, but today your behavior is too disappointing. You've let me down. If it wasn't for Shachen pleading for your case, I wouldn't have kept you around. The truth frightened Ningyu, causing the girl to reach out in a panic. Auntie Ning, I know I am wrong back there. Please don't leave me behind. I simply care about you too much. You know it too. I never had a mother because she passed away when I was a baby. I simply didn't want anyone to steal you away. Showing a bittersweet smile while shaking her head. If you weren't partially raised by me, then you think I would still be standing here? I'm also at fault. I did look after you, but I didn't educate you properly, causing you to be so narrow-minded. Over the years, she has been running around so often that she's not taken the effort to oversee the child's growth. The fault wasn't entirely hers, but Bai Ning couldn't shirk off the responsibility either. I really like that child. I had liked him since the first time I laid eyes on him. So, I do not want you to continue to bully him, otherwise. I won't forgive you the next time around. You need to understand that. After dropping this final warning, Bai Ning didn't look back and walked out again, leaving only the shaking girl in the background who had crumbled to the floor. Bai Ning's admirer won. Her face turned pale as sweat rolled down the forehead after being left alone again. Why? Auntie Ning only met that little shit today. Why does she care so much about him? And me, I've been with her for more than a decade. How can I be shoved off to one side by some nobody? The more she dwelled on the subject, the more twisted and disgusted Ning Yu's face became. The girl's about to lose her sanity at this rate. The bloodshot eyes, the tightly gripping balls of hand, everything about her appearance spelled obsessive insanity. You just wait. I'll never let you go. All those who try to steal my Auntie Ning deserves to die. Standing in the middle of a secluded valley, a woman in red had just arrived at this location. Xiachen and Dragoni should be around here somewhere. Bai Yan scans the surrounding terrain, looking for further signs of Dragon Flame and Half Qing Xing's energy signature. Don't worry, kids. I'll be there very soon. It's then right as she's about to continue her search for the family. A faint voice cuts in from above and catches her attention. Girl, this place is not for you to come. Go back now. If you don't, then the consequences will be yours to bear. The owner of this warning was a man wearing a deep blue robe who appeared out of thin air through a ripple in space. At first, this person was frank and carefree in appearance, similar to an elder speaking to a youngster out of kindness. However, that face changed the second he saw the contour of the woman beneath himself. It's that of shock and horror. Bai Yan naturally noticed the new aura nearby. Squinting her eyes into a narrow slit, she looks up to confront the person as well. You know me? Recovering from his slip-up, he sneers. Why should I know you? Since you dare break into my territory, then you don't need to leave anymore. Boom! The killing intent came boiling out from the man's body, covering the entire valley in his pressure. You know Bai Ning? She gets straight to the point after making a flip off the ground and narrowly avoiding the shockwave. This man must be related to my mother if he has such a strong reaction. Either some great hatred or some secret he doesn't want me to know. Regardless of the answer, he knows something. Ning Yuan's response was a simple one in this case. A cold smirk and a direct attack. Bang! Making a direct hit with a palm strike to the chest, the man's sudden attack causes the woman to spill blood from the mouth due to the abrupt hit. Turning hard and cold in the face, Bai Yan endures the stinging pain and speaks out again. I knew it. You know Bai Ning for sure. What is it? A vendetta? Or some secret you won't reveal to me? Though the truth wasn't conclusive yet, Bai Yan didn't care because her body told her all she needed to know. That powerful sense to get closer to the woman from that day, the urge to cry out, everything pointed to a bond of blood. Young girl, knowing too many things won't do you any good. However, your luck is very good, you actually ended up coming to me in person. Now I won't let you live to see her. Bai Ning's admirer, too. Bai Yan's expression sank at the imminent threat to her own life. According to the woman's own assessment, this man was likely at the high divine stage while she herself stood at the bottom divine level. It's not looking good no matter how she weighed it. For one, she didn't have Dragon Flame or Half Qing Xing around, so relying on backup was out of the question. And she only has her sword Godslayer around. The terms are not looking good. Flickering a cunning light in her eyes since fighting was out of the question, Bai Yan suddenly cried out and pointed to the area behind the man. Bai Ning! Bai Ning? What? Drained of color from his face, Ning Yuan hurriedly swings his head around in search. However, what he found wasn't the familiar figure of the woman whom he loves. It's emptiness. There's nothing, only air and the occasional bristling of the breeze against the greenery. Outraged at being tricked, the man immediately swung his head back towards the woman in question. Unfortunately for him, though, no one's going to sit around and wait for him to kill them. Stinking girl, how dare you deceived me? He cries out in utter disgust towards the trailing red light that disappeared from his view. Make no mistake, Ning Yuan was not one to be so easily fooled. The only reason he was in this case was because of Bai Ning's name. He would do anything to get on her good grace. And by anything, it's anything. Not far away, Bai Yan was still fleeing for her own life when she cast a glance to the back. And that's when she saw the man right at her tail. Her heart pumped at this sight. Without another thought, she drew her Godslayer out to block the oncoming punch. In a roaring explosion of force, Bai Yan found the air fleeing her chest as metal met flesh from the exchange. Tumbling right out of the air, she crashes down to the floor in a loud smacking thud. Blood spewed out of her mouth as a result of the impacting injury. Girl, I like to see how far you can get with your measly strength. Bai Yan did not respond to the threat, only grasping heavily to her Godslayer while using those watchful eyes to keep a wary look at the enemy in front. But then an idea hit her again upon noticing something. Sneering in her voice. If you're going to kill me anyways, then why not tell me the truth? This way I can at least die without grievance. Cracking a laugh at the woman, Ning Yuan happily obliged over those sweet words. All right, I don't mind at all since you're going to be a corpse soon enough. Taking a couple of steps forward, the pressure surged out of the man's body and swamped over by Yan's face and made her flinch. I have no grudge against her, on the contrary. By Ning's the woman of my world. I love her. When speaking about his greatest desire, the man gradually lost the murderous intent in his eyes and replaced it with gentle kindness, a sight Bai Yan didn't expect to see from the person. I fell in love with her at first sight years ago. At the time, she had just given birth to a daughter not long and sent the baby away. Apparently, she was being